steadily, donks.
Look at us now, tip to tip. This is our life. This is our passion.
I'm Luke Thomas. This is Morning Combat. I can never get over that. Welcome.
It's
on this,
so good.
It's amazing. On this 23rd day of January 2026, because ladies and gentlemen, finally, your long international drought, I suppose, is over. The fights are back, and we are here to get you ready. Hello, everyone. I am merely one half of your hosting duo. My name is Luke Thomas. I am joined by Better Call Y'all himself, defrocked, disbarred, the whole 9 yards. It's Jed Meshew. What's up, Jed? How are you?
Bitch, to be disbarred, I had to have been barred in the first place. So don't bring that nonsense here.
You've never passed the bar? You never taken the bar?
No, I actually did. But I never got bar. I passed the bar when I got out. And then I did I forget what they call it, year service shit. But because I didn't want to pay the dues since I wasn't going to be an attorney, I never got a bar card. So yeah. I can't be disbarred because I never technically was barred, but I did pass the bar, which is important.
All right. Very good. Well, welcome. Nice to see you, Jed. Jed, of course, from MMAfighting.com. Now, let me give one bit of a disclaimer up front. You might be like, hey, aren't you guys supposed to be boozing in studio? Well, we will be, just not for this month. There was a bit of a miscommunication such that, don't worry, the Cuervo deal has been renewed for the rest of the calendar year. Everything is full steam ahead. But it doesn't actually start until next month. And so there was some miscommunication. We thought it would be a get going for this month, and it does not. So apologies for the miscommunication. Sorry about that. I promise you the deal is just as good as it was last year. We'll be back in studio very soon, just not today. Sorry about, and Jed, of course, we'll have you back in studio once we resume returning to it. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, honestly, it kind of worked out, what with the terrible weather that's coming
exactly
in New York. So, because I was planning to do this, and then this sort of feels a lot better to me, frankly.
What is the weather expectation in Georgia? We're in the 8 to 12 inches of snow kind of place.
North Georgia's going to get some. Luke, I know that there's nothing that the MK chat loves more than talking politics.
Yes.
But I got to tell you, it's been pretty tough to have a confidence in the weather forecasting, what with the changes that came, because it has shifted every day. At the beginning of this week, I thought that I wasn't going to be able to do the MMA fighting watch party because we were just going to die with snow and ice. And now it's it's probably going to snow Saturday night a little bit. There's no consistency. It's gotten progressively better every day. So it's going to be cold and probably icy for a few days, but everybody north of us seems like y'all are getting screwed.
Yeah. I don't think we're going to get it too bad in terms of the storm itself, but I think afterwards, all next week, it's going to be in the teens and 20s. So it's just all going to freeze and turn into concrete. So that's not going to be any fun, but who cares? The fights are back. UFC 324. It is finally upon us, the Paramount era. So let's get things started. If you want to follow us on social, here you go. You can follow me. And there's Jed as well. Jed is on both Twitter or X or whatever and Instagram. And then, of course, you can follow all of mine as well as the Morning Combat accounts on YouTube or TikTok or whatever your heart may fancy. Let's not forget the Stranger Danger merch, morningcombat.shop, morningcombat.shop. You can go and get the January exclusive. Of course, this will only be available until the end of January 31st at 11:59 p.m. or while supplies last. And remember, those posters are just $25. They did get a little bit banged up in transit.
They are sold out as well, Luke.
Oh, they sold out?
Posters are sold out, yes. Thank you.
Wow, very good. All right, so we'll get those to you here as soon as the weather permits. And let's bring in the third member of our family here. It is the son of a horned-up Australian. He is my friend and yours. He is nothing if not a Long Island flag bearer. It's Long Island Luke. What's up, my friend? How are you?
What's up, dude? Thank you for calling me family. That was very honorable here against the honorable Jed Meshew, the lawyer. So good to be here.
Honorable.
Jed, I would hire you, Normally lawyers make me nervous and make me feel comfortable, Yeah, that's how it goes. But boys, UFC's back this weekend. I am fucking hyped. Got Jose Youngs versus Gaethje airing after this on Prop Quiz.
Wonder how that's going to go.
$20 on the line. You never know. Gaff did pull up the upset in the tournament. Could pull it again. LT, I heard you're going to be on Prop Quiz against Jed later.
You definitely did not hear that.
Oh, I thought I heard that.
You definitely you heard the opposite of that.
That's A+ work, Long Island.
Listen, you got to have non-podcast brain to do that, and I just don't have that kind of a thing. So, Jed, very quickly before we get going, how are things at MMA Fighting? What do you got going on this weekend?
I mean, we're back, baby. Like this is one of the very few times this year, probably, I'll be like genuinely super stoked about a fight card, both because this fight card's awesome and we just haven't had any for so long.
Yeah.
And so, like, you know, it's our standard fare. We got weigh-ins going on now or soon. We'll have a preview show today, and tomorrow, me and the honorable Mike Heck will be doing our watch along that we always do. So, stop in, hang out with us. Few new gimmicks, few new things happening. We're going live early to celebrate the new one. Luke, do you know? I mean, I know you know, but I don't think we're celebrating enough the earlier start time.
Oh, brother, trust me when I tell you. I am. So I told my wife this morning, I was like, I cannot wait for this earlier freaking start time. With that in mind, you know what we should do? Let's just get the show started because this is all part of it, and I really want to get into it. So let's kick things off, shall we? UFC 324 is upon us. The weigh-ins are happening, or I think they're going to start in about 45 minutes, and we'll have weigh-in results for you on this lower third when they get going. But let's talk about it now, Jed. UFC 324, I got to tell you, I liked the break. I know some people had some issues with the break, and there was some belly aching about it, but I feel like a little bit of a pause has made us feel rejuvenated for the return. But there is one question that I keep getting, and I want to talk more about the Paramount era more generally, but there's the first thing that's on my mind is a question people keep pitching to me, so I'm going to pitch it to you, namely, okay, no more pay-per-view. It's going to be on Paramount Plus. As you indicated, 9 p.m. start time, all right? So we've already got a couple of changes baked in. But what else can UFC or Paramount do on this particular broadcast to really set the tone, elevate it in a way, because it's the first one on the Paramount era? What extra bells and whistles can or even should they add?
That's a great question. The answer is going to be they're not going to do anything because this is the UFC. They are a finely tuned machine that is going to be the machine that it is. I would love to see, I mean, when they moved over to ESPN from Fox, and even when they moved to Fox, I know you and I have been here that long, but most of the people watching this probably don't know. They always came with new graphics packages, which was just at least a nice thing to feel fresh and different, as opposed to the same thing we've seen for the last 7 years. I don't remember how long the ESPN deal was. So I expect something like that, and that will be nice. Forgive me, I do not remember the name of the woman who is doing their analysis show. Do either of you have it? Kate Abdo?
Minty Bits? Oh, Kate Abdo. No. Yes, from
Kate
CBS.
Abdo. Yes. Yeah, so like they've brought a real professional in to sort of handle that, which I think will be good. I can quibble with who they've got on their analyst desk or whatever, but I say this all the time, regardless of the new era. I would love for them to mix things up way more as far as bringing analysts on, right? They sort of stick to the same like 6 dudes or whatever. And I think it would they have an infinite well of fighters. Just throw a bunch of them on there, cycle new people in to give fresh perspectives on things, because especially when you get guys like Dominic Cruz and Michael Bisping. I mean, Michael Bisping, has his own YouTube channel that's getting fairly big. So you're not getting new perspectives there. I would love for them to do stuff like that, and just a overhaul on the graphics package, just something to make this feel fresh and new and interesting would, I think, be great. And we'll probably see some of that, but I doubt there's going to be a sweeping overhaul, because why would they? They've got a successful recipe. I doubt they're going to mess with it too much.
I mostly agree. I mean, on the one hand, right, here's the issue. You definitely do want to jazz this up a little bit. As you indicated, Kate Abdo is going to be there. As we've already talked about previously, the earlier start time, the lack of the pay-per-view. So you definitely have a few things already in motion. But at the same time, you don't want to go so different that the public is like, what are we even looking at here? This looks like nothing I've ever seen before, and not in a good way, like in a unfamiliar way, right? So I think, for me, yesterday, Jed, Dana White was asked about like the amount that the bonuses are going to be. They should have an announcement for that on the broadcast, right? I kind of feel like that's a no-brainer. whatever the new, unless the number is something that they're not happy with or whatever. But if the new number is, I'm going to make something up, 75K, 100K, whatever it is. I know that they did the Mike Bond thing, but I don't know if that's really going to hold. So have an announcement about what these things will be going forward, as you indicated, a new graphics package. But other than that, I actually don't think they should tinker with it too much. Just give people enough reason to be visually pleased about what they're looking at and then set it up for the future. One last thing I will say, though. Someone asked me about this, and I have asked around, and I cannot get a straight answer. Namely, ESPN Plus, Jed, is, and I don't know if this is true universally, but it's true for UFC, is in 720p. But Paramount Plus is 1080p. Now, that doesn't mean that the UFC broadcast is guaranteed going to be true high definition at 1080p. But at the same time, that to me would also be a really big upgrade to the viewer's experience, and I think go a really long way. Why don't I hear him?
Dude, I didn't even I muted myself. Dude, I didn't even consider that. It's a really good point. I got it. How much time have you spent on the new Paramount? Like it's not a new, that their app's the same, but the UFC stuff on it is new.
I've watched the movies and I've watched some Champions League.
I have found the UFC stuff to be terrific because it's all there. It is. My biggest issue with Fight Pass was always it was hard to find fights. you would have to put in the right, like break the Da Vinci Code to get to certain fights. Everything is pretty clean. It could work, right? Like they could use some new things because this is new, but the app itself, I have been incredibly pleased with in my limited experience here. And I didn't even register that like, oh yeah, we're actually getting much more high definition going forward. And of course, Luke, I know that this is a topic that rings very, very close to your heart. If nothing else, if they do no changes, if it's the same production staff, it will still be broadcast on a viable broadcaster. Like we won't have the infinite issues that occur with ESPN. So I'm pretty pumped about it.
Logan, Luke, you say you've had issues with NFL games on Paramount Plus?
Yeah, like I'm not the biggest NFL fan, so I'll just like play a game, walk around, do whatever around the house, and I come back, and half the time it's frozen, or audio's playing, it's frozen, like shit like that, and I'm like, well, this isn't great. But personally, dude, I use Fight Pass to watch a lot of my shit. I have an account from like a previous job, so I don't even use ESPN. Like I haven't even used ESPN Plus really this whole time, so I'm not too worried about it as long as that account's still good. But yeah, not too optimistic about Paramount Plus. Got to be
again. Honest. I've watched live sports with Champions League and again, to my experience, whatever that is worth, has been great. Has been just fine and has looked amazing and has been pretty great. But advancing the conversation, if I may, about 324 and the UFC in this Paramount era. When we think big picture and you think about what the UFC can or should do with this Paramount venture, right now that it's kicking off and now that it's into high gear, Zuffa Boxing starts tonight, which again is kind of part of the whole thing. But separate from that, just the UFC, what would you say is the goal here? Is it to elevate to even further into the mainstream? Is it to build stars? Is it to just generate more wealth? How do you understand what the UFC's core mission should be with this new arrangement?
Well, what their core mission is and what their core mission should be are very different because their core mission is to generate wealth. I think we both know that's true. Like they are just, this is a money thing. They're printing money. And so like, that's what their core mission is. I think as a ancillary product of that, and maybe as like a secondary goal, it will be to grow the sport more broadly, which I do believe this deal will do, right? Like we have talked about it a lot on various shows. I've talked about it with you. I've talked about it with everybody else. And I still don't think we have really acknowledged enough how big a deal the removal of a paywall for American sports fans is. There's a paywall. Paramount Plus isn't free, but like I have friends who tomorrow night don't watch fights or maybe very occasionally watch the biggest fights who already own Paramount Plus. And now it's not at 1 a.m. They're like, yeah, man, I got nothing else going on Saturday night. I'm going to throw on the fights and see what happens. That's why they've put their best foot forward as far as action fights, which we'll get to. And I do think that's going to pay some dividends. Not everybody can be a fight fan. It is a niche, but they're casting a broader net with this deal. And there are some things I'd love to see them do in that regard that I think would open up the sport even more. But also think are probably unlikely to happen. Now you're muted.
Sorry, my bad. I opened up my can of A&W root beer. It's nice. All right, let's talk about the card itself here. And before we get to the individual matchups themselves, we did lose, obviously, the co-main event from was going to be Kayla versus Amanda. Nevertheless, with that out of the picture, there is still there are complaints about next week's card that I think are a lot more valid. I got to tell you, I like this card. Whether it's the one that should have been made with Armin, that's one question you can have. Whether there should be an interim title up for grabs is another question you can have. But just looking at the slate of fights, this tells me everything. I really enjoy this. I'm going to give this one 8.5 out of 10, maybe, and 9's a little strong. 8.5 out of 10. Where were you on this?
I'm right there. 9. If this still had Harrison Nunes, this is easy, like 9.5 territory, because that is the best fight on the card, and we lost that. But even so, this is still a very good card. And more importantly, and what I said in that last little bit there, this is an exciting card. Like, looking at this card top to bottom, and certainly the big fights, right? The main card and the middle prelim section, it is hard for me to imagine any of those fights sucking. Maybe one of them. Like, there may be one of those fights might not be the most compelling, but especially for people who maybe are tuning into the UFC for the first time or the first time in a long time because of the change in price point, basically. Luke, how could we possibly wake up? Tell me how Sunday morning could look. Man, that was boring. I did not have a good time watching Justin Gaethje fight. Said no one ever. Like, I think this card is going to be super fun. The quibbles with it are like, how important are some of these matchups? But they're even still mostly important. This is a great card.
What kind of numbership or viewership are you expecting? What do you think?
I genuinely have no concept for how that works, because
okay, so if an NFL game can get 30 million or more, and that's a lot.
We ain't doing that.
Yeah, they're not doing that. But can they get 10, 15 million, something like that?
I'll go lower than 10, because my biggest issue with this card is a thing that we shouldn't frankly care about at all, and it's very stupid, but it's like they haven't promoted it. They have broadly promoted that the UFC is on Paramount now, like at NFL games, those commercials are run, but there was no like, it starts January 24th, tune in. It's been very limited in that regard, which is sort of odd to me, because you would think this is the first one. They've put such a good foot forward with the fights themselves. They would want to promote the hell out of this and try and lead with strong numbers. I doubt that that's going to happen, but also, what's the lead in on this on Saturday? Like, when are the NFL games? Are they on? Are they both Sunday? That's a good
question. That's a great question.
Look that up right
Let's see,
now.
NFL schedule.
They're both Sunday, so there's nothing Saturday, basically. Right. I mean, there'll be hockey and whatever, and basketball. 10 feels like an ambitious goal, but let's say 10. Let's say they crack into double digits.
I think that 10 is 15 seems high, especially if you don't have like a huge star on here. But I think 10 with no paywall, you say they haven't promoted it, and Dana, I know we've had some questions about the degree to which he has promoted this card, and I think that is, in terms of his enthusiasm. However, I have seen him kind of everywhere. He's playing poker with TMZ's Harry, I think, what's his last name? Harry Levin, I forget his name, but he did Complex, and he's doing all the sort of like the regular podcasts, and he did CBS, and he did Bloomberg, and there's sort of a lot going on, and I don't know what that's all going to amount to, but I don't know, this is more than I've seen him do in quite a long while.
It's true. I honestly, because he has felt so ever present, maybe I just missed that part of it. But this week, they have done much more in general, right? Like, they have been, and especially the UFC on Paramount team has put out a lot of stuff, but it felt like that this could have been built up to over the, all of the NFL playoffs when CBS had games more than just the occasional commercial. Of course, they also did have the famous Golden Globes sequence. So maybe I'm just dead wrong on this.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that didn't do much.
Got a lot of people interested, man.
Before we talk about the main event itself here, which we're about to in just a moment, I think the conversation should start on UFC's expectations. So obviously Justin Gaethje is by no means out of this fight, but Jed, would you agree that it feels to me a little bit like all eyes on Paddy Pimblett, like because this is, even if you want to say Justin is past it at 37 and pretty close to the end of his career, he still is, to me, a tougher fight than anyone he's had previously. So this would be still something of an escalation for him, even if you want to say he's still fighting Unks. And more to the point, it just kind of seems like there is hope for this next generation of fighters. And part of what this Paramount deal is getting some of these guys a little bit more ably to the front of the line. Am I exaggerating the Paddy Pimblett importance, or do you share it?
No, this is, the 100%, because like he is the best bet they have. Maybe not the best, but one of the very few bets the UFC has for like a real star. And I know the company at this point is so insulated from even needing like super big stars anymore, but it's still nice to have. Like, it is a good thing to have people that people care about. And Justin Gaethje is awesome, and I love him like a family member, but he ain't that. And Paddy uniquely got over despite not being good. Like, how many times in the history of this sport has a super popular fighter not been good? And now Paddy's become good. Not here to denigrate the man, but like, if he can ascend, if he can get a belt wrapped around him, it sets up obviously a monster fight with Ilia Topuria. Business is just straight up better if Paddy Pimblett gets the job done. You know, the UFC will never need a fighter to win, but I mean, it's hard to argue that it's not like they aren't wanting Paddy Pimblett to come out victorious.
Do you think he can be a big star in North America? Again, we're not in the pay-per-view business anymore, so how they measure that is a little bit different. What is your sense of his star potential?
I assume so, because if you're a big star somewhere, that sort of translates. And like, he is infectiously fun, or at least the energy around him from the people who love him is. He has already travels pretty well. You know, Paddy the Baddy is a fun ass song, man. Like, and sometimes that's all you need for a gimmick. Like, you don't need that much to have a gimmick that gets over. You need something that allows people to set aside their cynicism and whatever, and just like, man, this is fun, and singing, oh, Paddy the Baddy. Like, that's fun. He has a lot of gimmicks working, and it obviously works very well in Liverpool and England. And it has started to work a little here. If he can get the thing holding him back, certainly I think from broader appeal, has just been that he is not a champion, right? He hasn't beaten anybody good, frankly. But this is such a big moment for him. If it doesn't even matter if afterwards we say, oh, Justin Gaethje's a little bit washed, that won't matter. He'll have a belt wrapped around him. He will be a UFC champion on the first big event for Paramount, 10 million plus viewers. I think that'll elevate him in a major way and get him, you know, not all the way over. It takes time to build stars anywhere, but it'll be a huge step to getting him like over in North America.
I saw he did some crossover. I don't know how much soccer you watch, but he did a crossover with the CBS Sports Golazo people like Kate Abdo and Jamie Carragher and Big Meeks. And dude, it did like big numbers on social. Like, I don't know. I didn't see any other UFC fighter this week do any social that came anywhere close to what Paddy was getting, at least with some of those other. Again, that's a little more Eurocentric than North American centric, but just in terms of like aggregate numbers, dude, that was the guy. You know what I mean? He was the entree here in this fucking meal. So
dude, he was on a fucking Battlefield or whatever, one of those video games with. I'm trying to remember who all the people were, where he was one of the 4 dudes in that video game commercial. Like, there's the fucking guy from High School Musical. See, I'm not old and washed.
Like I've watched High School Musical.
No, but he's super famous and people like him. And he was also in Baywatch, and I just can't think of his goddamn name right now. I am also old and washed, and my brain doesn't fucking work anymore. Zac Efron. Like Zac Efron and a bunch of other folks in like a Battlefield commercial. Like, that ain't happening for anybody else on roster. He has the potential to really get over, and they want him to, and this is the best way to do it. There's a reason Paddy's not waiting to fight Ilia or fighting Arman Tsarukyan. He's fighting the one that he can win and try and make him a thing. And God bless him, it may well work.
How many fights within a weight class? So we're not talking weight class jumping. So I'm not talking about Ilya versus Islam, for example. How many fights in the UFC are bigger than Ilya Topuria versus Paddy Pimblett within the weight class itself?
None. I don't. Like, there are fights I might like more or that are better. I don't think there's a bigger fight in the sport outside of maybe a couple of, like you said, weight class jumping fights, right? Like,
yes.
You know, do we count Alex Pereira moving up to heavyweight as weight class jumping? Because maybe him versus
sort of,
like,
yes, because he's the champion at 205. So
yeah,
yes.
but if he actually just like bails to move up, like, yeah, no, like as far as intra divisional, I think it's the biggest fight that the sport has.
Interesting. All right, let's talk about the fight itself. We're going to get to the Gaethje equation here. I know we've been kind of harping on Paddy, but I think it's important. So let's start with Paddy here in terms of the X's and O's. Where are you, Jed, in the argument about the strength of schedule that Paddy has faced, A, and then B, what do you actually think that means for Saturday materially?
I think it is unequivocally true that he has not faced good opposition. I don't think that matters at all. Right? Like, it can be a factor
at
in
all.
I mean, it can be a factor in your holistic view of how the fight goes, but like, you don't fight good oppo until you fight good oppo, you know? Like, he could, I guess, have helped it, but like, I don't think that it is a significant bearing on him because he's fought a lot. He has fought people over the balance of his career who gave him opposition. It's not like he's spent his whole career mashing turds, right? Like, he has beaten professional fighters. And even though at the time his wins came, especially in the UFC, they weren't like against guys at the peak of their powers, he's still like, I struggle to think that Justin Gaethje is going to come in and be like, I've never seen this before from Justin Gaethje. If he loses, he's going to lose, not because Justin Gaethje's, you know, because he's never fought a good guy. He's going to lose because Justin Gaethje is better than him. But it's also disingenuous to be like, actually, Paddy Pimblett has fought very good people. He is not. Look, his UFC run is mostly terrible. And then as he started to fight good names, what does a win over Michael Chandler in the year of our Lord 2025 mean? I don't think it means a whole lot, but the way he beat him is still good. Like, that's still valuable to beat somebody dominantly. And so I don't think it matters too much. I think it is definitely true that he hasn't fought very good people.
I'm okay. So I did this exercise. One of the things I love about Fight Pass is sometimes you can't do this. Like, if you're trying to do this, for example, with like Robbie Lawler, it would take forever. But in the case of someone like Paddy Pimblett, you can just watch their much of their entire career. Say again?
Whole career, basically.
Yeah. I watched his entire UFC run in chronological order from the beginning to the last one, the Chandler fight, and just watching what we could see. What were the mistakes that keep showing up? My man's got a problem with defending the left hook. That is a big issue for him. However, dude, here's where I come down on this question of like his opposition. To your point, you know, he's been doing the Joaquin Buckley thing where he's just fighting unks. And then, you know, the question is, could it be the same thing as Buckley where you fight like the boss unk in Kamaru Usman and you come up short? Is Justin Gaethje something like that? I guess we're going to find out. However, if you just watch his game from that first fight in UFC until the Chandler one, the level of progress is absolutely manifestly undeniable, and it surprised me in ways that I wasn't necessarily expecting. And the funny part was, so when Pimblett came to the UFC, Jed, so he made his UFC debut, he had already had nearly 20 fights. And my general view is if someone has that many fights before they get to the UFC, on one hand, that's good experience. On the other hand, if they're still got really bad striking, then this is a bit of a red flag. And it could have been. There were times he got his shit rocked and then survived. However, what has happened is he has kind of, I think, developed beyond even what I necessarily thought possible. He has improved so much. So we already know his back attacks were great. We already know his submissions from the back are pretty great. He's got really, really good ability there. But the stand-up, Jed, the stand-up for me, both in how he sets things up, putting more fakes and feints in front of them, not overrunning position, putting combinations together, right? Have better footwork, steadier balance. Like, dude, my man has clearly leveled up a few different times. And whether or not you think he can be Justin Gaethje, we'll get to that in just a moment. But the notion that, oh, well, he hasn't beaten anyone, so therefore we can't learn anything. I just think there's no truth to that whatsoever. The tape is very clear. And to say nothing, Jed, would you not agree? He's physically much bigger than he was even when he started in the UFC.
He is. I was rewatching stuff this week in prep for, the various things. He is just like, he was so cartoonishly bigger than Michael Chandler in that fight. And he did honestly kind of thought it was a pretty good gimmick from him when they did their first face off, and he slouched and got himself real small. And then they did their face off yesterday. And Justin Gaethje was like, holy shit, did you grow 3 inches? What happened? Like, he's a big man. And I think that matters a lot for how his game goes. But like, yeah, that's my point, Luke. Is like, that dude is better. I did not think he had a future when he came to the UFC. I was like, okay, he's just going to be Molly McCann. He might get some wins. He'll be super popular. They can take him to England every time they go, and the crowd will be live. And maybe you can manufacture him a run. But at the time, like, I remember doing segments being like, how do we manufacture a title shot? How do we pick and choose his way up the rankings? Like, you can't. Once he gets to 6, there's just no world he can climb it. And that has been demonstrably false. Like, he has gotten progress in this sport is not linear by any stretch of the imagination, but Paddy has linear progress. Like, he is better every time we see him, which is really impressive to your point, man. Like, when you have 20 fights, the cake's kind of baked. Not so for him. And so, like, he's still got a lot of flaws, in my opinion. And his striking, like, has come a long way, but I mostly think it's come offensively, and defensively, he's still a bit of a mess. But, like, that might just not matter. So he has been, like, incredibly impressive in his ability to continue to improve. And, like, I think fighters say, I'm going to prove you all wrong way too much. That's just sort of wiring in their brain. But, like, Paddy had legitimate haters. I was one of them, and I have been forced to eat crow time and time again as he has continued to compete very high level.
And I'm going to say one last thing on this before we talk about Gaethje. For me personally, I've all the belly aching. Oh, the UFC gave him all these extra opportunities against guys who were too weak just to build him up. Yeah, they did. They did. Here's the thing. If he makes good on it, though, it will have all been worth it, because then they'll have promoted someone who feasted on lesser talent as he got better and better and better. And then by the time he had to face some sort of real consequences, real stakes, he was ready for it at that point. Like, it would actually be, again, if he loses, this is a different consideration. But if Paddy wins on Saturday, it's actually proof of concept that what the UFC did with him was very much the correct call. Some guys get favoritism, and that is unfair in the fight game. And a lot of times, fighters get favoritism, and they can't make it work. But sometimes they do. And if they're able to make it work, the entire thing ends up being bigger than the sum of its parts. Now, let's talk about – go ahead.
That's just called development. Like, that is
just development.
It's just prospect development. It happens in boxing because specific orgs own specific fighters. So they are developing these guys. The UFC just owns everybody. And so their broad plan has been throw them all together. Whoever comes out on top, that'll be fine. But that doesn't, like, this is a way better way to do it.
All right, let's talk about Justin Gaethje for a moment here. First of all, where are you on the very basic question of where his physical health is? We're talking about the barbecue sauce that he had, right? And then also, he made these fighter pay comments. He's clearly agitated about it. Yesterday, he shut down Jose Young's when he followed up on it. And so he doesn't want to deal with it now, but it's on the back of his mind. There's, like, I don't know. I'm not on the one hand, I'm not prepared whatsoever to be like, oh, he's not mentally locked in. I don't know if Gaethje needs to be 100% mentally locked in, but I do bet that he is. I bet come competition time, he's ready to rock. At the same time, I don't know. Fair to say there are issues swirling around him at this point.
I mean, sort of, but, like, I'm with you. I don't think that's going to matter, because the issues swirling around him they don't seem to be the kind that might permeate when you are in fight or flight mode. And that's what'll come tomorrow night. Like, Justin Gaethje will lock in, he'll get in a fist fight. And at no point during that is he going to be like, oh man, I shouldn't have said that about fighter pay or like whatever. I will say there is an issue I am concerned about with him, and that may play a role. For as much as he wants to pretend that that's an ingrown hair, maybe it started as an ingrown hair. I don't know. I'm not a medical doctor. You can see this fancy degree on my wall right here. I am not a medical doctor. That was not an ingrown hair, man. And the fact that it's still like covered up suggests to me that that probably was a bigger issue. And the concern there is not that like, oh no, he has staph going into the fight tomorrow. It's, oh no, 3 weeks ago he had staph and was on antibiotics, which effed up the, final most important part of your training schedule. So like that is stuff I'm genuinely concerned about. The fighter pay thing, I think he just wishes he could take that back despite it being true or whatever, because that added, an unnecessary thing to now talk about. And Justin Gaethje, before he said the fighter pay comments, I think it was before at media day, he was like, yeah, my life, he was talking about how things have changed in his time. He's like, I speak to the media less because I don't like you. And so I think that he's just like, man, I wish I hadn't said that because I don't want to do this part of it, but that's not going to affect him on Saturday.
We have a clip of Paddy talking about what appears to be Justin Gaethje's staff. Let's see what he says.
Did you see rumors of Justin Gaethje having staph on his neck?
Yeah, I've seen it. It's one of them. What are we meant to do? You know what I mean? If he's got staph, lad, he's got staph. Doesn't matter if he's got staph or not, I'm still going to smash his head in. But there's lads in our gym who fought with staph, lad, and knock people out in the first round, so it doesn't affect you that bad. But that'll be another excuse for everyone when I win. That'll be like, oh, just in case you had staph as well. You know what I mean? So it's one of them. I get on with it. I'm going to be turning up in the cage, and all that matters is if I turn up, nobody beats me.
I mean, I think that's about right. What else is he supposed to say here?
Look, that was nails. He's just absolute nails. Like, dude, I don't really care. I'm going to beat him anyway. And it is true because there will be people, not me. I think if Paddy wins, unless it's like, I'm trying to think of a scenario where a Paddy victory would make me be like, actually, Justin probably would have beat him if he didn't have staph. But there are going to be people who will just be like, yeah, you fought an old and compromised Gaethje. Hooray. And that's fair for him to be like, they're going to say it because they are. And it won't matter when he wins, frankly.
All right, so let's talk about the matchup itself. If I had to ask, what would you say for each fighter is their number one objective? And I don't mean just win. I mean, in terms of like what does the fight need to look like in either direction for you to have confidence that one fighter or the other is winning? So, for example, I personally believe, just on one side of the equation, I won't spoil the whole thing, that I think Gaethje has to pressure and pressure a lot because you got a guy in Paddy who's going to want to kick, and keep range. He's not going to be a boxing range with a guy who can just lower the fucking boom on you like Justin Gaethje can. So if he's getting pressured, I'm a little bit more concerned about his chances. How do you see what some of the major fault lines are?
Man, I wish you hadn't said that because now chat's going to be like, Jed's just copying Luke. I think the fault lines for both, like you could broadly say, keep it standing and take him down and be a dipshit loser who's not providing anything real. I think that is the same fault line for both dudes. I think both men need to be coming forward. I think both men need to be pressuring. Whoever is moving back is going to lose this fight, in my opinion, because Justin Gaethje is just frankly not that good fighting backwards in general, but stylistically it certainly behooves him, to your point, to take away the range that Paddy will have, to put Paddy on the back foot so he can't shoot as clean a takedown entries. He's not like a great wrestler, but like it's really hard to wrestle backing up. Like that is a very difficult thing to do. And more importantly, Paddy is, again, I mentioned earlier, man, he got some problems defensively, Luke. And it's not just that his head hangs way up here begging to be hit. It's that when he backs up. He has never taken an angle in his life as far as I've seen. Like he backs up on a straight line. And so if you are just pushing him back, you're going to take that space away from him and make his life, his job way more difficult. So if I am Justin Gaethje, that's like the whole thing in camp is forward pressure, and maybe don't get like too chaotic because that might open up opportunities. For Paddy, it's the same because Justin Gaethje is not very good on the back foot. I know that this fight is a very long time ago at this point, and Paddy ain't Habib, but like Habib just beat the hell out of Justin Gaethje by making him back up. And Gaethje's better at moving on angles. He was circling, he was on his bike, but like Habib was just in his fucking grill, man. And eventually that he backed him up so much, and he wasn't so focused on shooting. Habib was pressure, striking, and then finally took the shot like at the end of that first round. I think something very similar for Paddy. Move forward, be in his face, pressure him. Be open to the striking, right? You don't have to spam takedowns. And then once Gaethje's in the middle of a firefight, that's when you change levels, and then it's curtains.
Can Paddy Pimblett win without getting a takedown or getting to the back?
Yes. I think he has also one of the, like, as I was breaking this down, a thing that really jumped out at me. I don't think he would be favored. I want to be super, super clear about that. But look, he can crack a little bit. Gaethje is not the same person he has been. I think that Gaethje can take a shot from Paddy just fine. But I think, there are some opportunities. Paddy's kicking game has come a long way, which is super helpful, especially because Gaethje might be less inclined to kick for fear of takedowns, which I think would be a mistake, but that's a whole separate issue. But Paddy's also started to really like to throw uppercuts. He was doing that a lot against Michael Chandler, or looking for it a lot against Michael Chandler, both because of the stature. Michael Chandler's just shorter than him, makes the uppercut better. But I think that would be like Justin ducks his head like a lot. And so Justin really comes down with it. You just start firing some uppercuts in there, and good things might really happen. That may, ultimately, I guess I'm actually going to totally change my answer because I'm really bad at doing TV, Luke. But the answer is probably no, because he's not going to cold Justin. And so if and when he gets Justin Gaethje hurt, he's going to immediately grapple. But he probably doesn't need to be grappling forward. It is just a way better idea, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I'm of the belief that it could happen. You mentioned the uppercut. That uppercut right hook the uppercut left hook.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's right. The uppercut hook from Paddy is one of his favorite combos. And he used to just kind of lunge into it, and now he actually sets it up pretty well. So to me, that's pretty potent. What I would say is, well, I know we need to move on here to some other fights, but what I would say is I think he can win on the feet, but I do think it's probably more likely than not he wouldn't. Last thing on this in terms of the X's and O's, what is your level of confidence in let's say it goes the distance. Let's say it goes the distance. How many takedowns does, and when I count takedowns, we count mat returns. How many takedowns does Paddy get?
2 or 3. If this goes the distance, I feel pretty good that Justin Gaethje has won this fight. Because Paddy has been mostly durable in his career. And
Scouses or sorcerers don't get knocked out.
Sorcerers do not get knocked out.
Who said that? It was Cody
Durden? Is that right?
No, it was the throat tattoo.
Garbrandt. Cody Garbrandt.
Yeah, man, he's been fairly durable. And so to me, if this fight goes to the distance, to the cards, it is Gaethje mostly kept it standing. Paddy was durable enough, and Gaethje didn't really force the issue. He was just very comfortable beating his ass with a jab that he never uses. But if this goes, because if he gets takedowns, it's over. I have no confidence in Justin Gaethje to spend 20 minutes on bottom not getting tapped. If Paddy is consistently getting takedowns, this fight is done.
Yeah, that I agree with. Or if he gets to mount or something like that, I think there's time left. If he gets mount, let's say, and there's 2 minutes left in the round, that's a bad sign for him. We do have a clip of Justin who reasserts his ability that he can KO anybody.
Paddy has said from day one of coming into the UFC, Scousers can't get knocked out. How much are you looking forward to proving that wrong?
Yeah, you don't have to be a doctor to know that if you have a brain, you can get shut off if I just shake it. And so I'll show him, if I could shake his head and make his brain touch his skull, he's going to go to sleep. The only thing that appeals to me right now is knocking the Scouser out and representing America. And that's what I'm here to do.
Dude, that's such a cold fucking line. It doesn't take a doctor to make his brain touch his skull. It's just like, all right, you're a different kind of dude than I am, Justin Gaethje.
He has thought long and hard about it, as you can tell. All right, and if you would care to hazard a prediction, again, I do these for fun because I have no fucking idea who's going to win. But what do you think, Jed?
I want to be very clear. This is not smart. This is lizard brain Jedi. They're inside every man. There are two men. One is a rational actor, and the other is a lizard. And lizard brain Jed has taken the wheel, and he'll be picking Justin Gaethje not for any technical or logical reasons, but because if Justin Gaethje loses to Paddy Pimblett, he's probably going to retire, and I am simply not prepared for that. He's the most exciting fighter in the history of the sport, and I would like to see him continue to compete. So, Justin Gaethje knocks that big old scouser out. He proves that he can, in fact, make his brain touch his skull. And I don't know, like second, third round TKO win for Justin Gaethje.
I'm gonna go Paddy. I'm gonna go Paddy. Now this is the rub. I don't know. I just feel like one way or the other he's going to be able to get it done. So I'll say TKO, but that maybe not be right because he could. His ground and pound wasn't bad against Chandler, but Chandler was squirmy underneath, so it's a little harder to see. You know what? I'll say sub.
I think sub is a much better choice than TKO.
Yeah, I think he'll sub. All right, Long Island prediction from the main event.
I did no bets barred earlier this week with Jed, and he convinced me, man. We got to go Justin Gaethje here. Justin Gaethje, KO. I agree with Jed. I think round 2 or 3. I'll say round 2. One thing I want to just bring up is everyone's all up in arms about Paddy vaping in this video here, and they're like, what the fuck? I bet on Paddy, and he's vaping. But, like, people forget, man, Justin Gaethje, my man rips fat dabs. I mean, iron lung Justin Gaethje here. I'm taking
That's
him.
just lung training. All that is.
Let's go.
Where did he get this bong?
What
other than
this is an oil rig. This is not a bong, technically. You know, it's
what the fuck is an oil rig?
You put like hash oil, wax, butter, you know, shit like that in it. And
it's like a goddamn spaceship.
Yeah,
bro. This guy's like, oh yeah, this is where it's not a bong. It's an oil rig. This is where you smoke things like ghee. These guys are out here smoking alternative butters and then being like, how can you not know it's called an oil rig? I don't know because I have a mortgage and a family. What do you mean? What kind of a question is that?
Don't act like you didn't do sativa or whatever the fuck that was all the way back in the day.
All right, let's go talk about our co-main event now, which, again, originally it was scheduled to be Amanda Nunes taking on Kayla Harrison. That is postponed for the foreseeable future. So in steps a man who we all left on the side of at least the title shot road, but here he is back in a fight that by itself you would just look at on paper and you would say, well, I don't know if this is going to put him back in a title shot, but it just might do it. Sean O'Malley is back after losing in back-to-back fights to Merab Dvalishvili. He takes on Song Yadong, and this is the question, obviously, Jed, on everyone's mind. It has been my thought, and I'm guessing it's going to be, I think it's the entire world's fight, right? We all thought that after Merab beat him the second time, it's like, oh, well, now Merab is lapping the competition. But then things changed at the end of 2025, and Petr Yan recaptured the title. And now Yan is looking at either an Umar Nurmagomedov potential fight. If he wins, we'll talk about that later. Certainly Merab is going to get back in there, I'm sure, without having to fight another one. But then Sean O'Malley, who has a win over Yan, a controversial split decision win over Yan, who, by the way, Jed, is an American. And I think guys who are American, I'm not saying this, like, people think I'm saying this pejoratively. I'm not. I'm just saying it, like, to the extent possible, objectively, which is that I think if you're a young American, particularly if you have an electric, friendly style, they're going to start moving you to bigger opportunities if you can kind of keep winning maybe a little bit faster than they normally would. Song Yadong, to me, is, I think, a very good fighter, but hasn't beat anyone like Sean O'Malley. So the question is, Jed, it's title shot city if he wins this, is it not?
Yeah, man. This is the fight where I'm way more concerned about like the level of competition, because Song has fought good fighters and hasn't beaten them. And so it's like, okay, we feel like we have a ceiling on you. And the question is Sean a good fighter? Because he's also had a weird up and down run, but like he is a good fighter. The eyeballs show you that he's a good fighter. And This is a bit like the Paddy combo here, Luke. And they're like, yeah, is this right? Is this the proper way? No, but we're developing stars, and 100%, if he beats, maybe 95%, because certainty is tough. If he beats Song, he is fighting Petr Yan. I think not at the White House, but like, I think he is challenging Petr Yan next in a rematch if he beats Song Yadong on Saturday, which is insane, but like, here we are.
Obviously Song Yadong's never been a champion. He has worked extensively on his English, but it's not his native language. By the way, credit to Sean O'Malley. The orcs on social media went after him for it when he apologized for the COVID mask, but I actually thought it was a decent gesture that he apologized. Okay, putting that aside, though, why, in your estimation, is the entire conversation about O'Malley? And let me reframe the question. Should there be more of a conversation about the potential upside here of Song Yadong? Or is the amount that we're giving him, which is he could win but probably won't, is that sufficient?
That's a really good question. Look at you, big brain on Luke over there.
Because I have struggled with this because did you see, for example, someone brought this up to me in my live chat, and I hadn't seen it when they brought it up, but I went and I looked afterwards. Corey Sandhagen put out a big video on like basically why. He didn't say it this way, but why Song Yadong has like very little chance of beating Sean just based on how they fight and their styles and whatnot. And, taking that for what it is worth, let's say that it is true. Maybe it's not, but let's say that it's true. It's like, okay, well, then that does kind of explain why no one's talking about Song Yadong. But I just kind of feel like here's a guy who has kind of slowly put things together, and he's leveled up and then kind of taken a step back, but then leveled up again and kind of taken a step back. Why are we discounting his opportunity here to actually really level up for the first time in a major way?
I think the answer is a combination of factors. One being people don't think he's going to win. And spoiler alert, I'm kind of with him. I think the other is like, because he's had setbacks at like the worst moments, right? Where he started to build momentum, got a big opportunity, and then lost it. And it's very tough for people to stay current on you. And then like his last fight, the weirdness with Henry Cejudo, even though it was beating Cejudo's ass, like that was an opportunity to get over, and it ended in such a wonky way. And I think specifically for this fight, outside of the people think Sean's going to win and Sean is a big star or whatever, I think it's also that this fight wasn't supposed to be here. Like this was, how often are we really that focused on the feature bout of any card, right? And in the last couple of weeks, this jolted up because we lost the co-main. And so now it's got scrutiny, more scrutiny. And the focus is going to be on Sean O'Malley because he is the much more known quantity. I do wonder, like I did not wonder until you asked the question. And now I'm sitting here thinking like, it might have behooved the UFC to back him a little more, to at least back the option of him. Because if he does go out there and beat Sean O'Malley, that's his big win. That is the win that elevates you to the top. And like, dude, he is 28 years old. He is just a handsome man. I don't know how else to phrase it. I'm sure the chat will love that. He's a very handsome man. Did you see him at media?
Are you going to bang him? You just doing the whole bit?
Look, I mean, he probably wouldn't choose to do that with me, but did you see him at media day? That man has like effortless swag to him. And I don't know if you know this, he's Chinese. And that's a fairly big market of people. And right now, the best Chinese stars they have are Zhang Weili, who is 1 billion years old. And they tried to make the Mountain Tiger a thing, and then he just got. So, like, it might have been a better idea for the UFC to give him a little more push, but it's not too late. And if he does beat Sean O'Malley, I think they're going to try their best to put the rockets to him and see what they've got with him.
It's heads, they win, tails, this is not the phrase, but they kind of also win here. 28 years old, Song Yadong, as you mentioned, Chinese. The thing I've been looking at this is they keep trying to level him up before he's ready. So he gets 3 wins in a row after losing to Kyler Phillips, who's very good. He beats Marlon Vera, loses to Kyler Phillips, gets 3 wins in a row, then loses to Sandhagen. Granted on the cut, but he was getting thumped. He was getting thumped a little bit. Then he beats Simone, knocks him out quickly, beats Gutierrez. You're like, okay, so he's clearly a step up beyond kind of like the 10 to 15, maybe even like 7 to 15 kind of guy. But then loses to Yan, then faces Cejudo, and then wins that one technically, but under a cloud of scrutiny. This would be controversy. This would be by far his biggest win. It would be the most high profile win, I would argue, even independent necessarily of the opponent himself. It would be the ultimate moment of transcendence that he just hasn't really had anything kind of close to this. And I think the fact that his best win is probably, again, the Marlon Vera win, that was 2020. You know what I mean? He's had other wins since then, obviously, but that was like the high watermark in terms of a name or, you know, a level of competition.
Maybe
like the fact that we're
name,
here.
Certainly.
Yeah. Well, yeah, he's beaten better names, obviously, but the Cejudo win, like, what does that really mean? I think part of the reason why we're just kind of sleeping on him is just because, as you indicated, the styles don't necessarily favor it, but more to the point, like, he's never really gotten close to beating a guy this thoroughly or to be this thorough, to beat a guy this good. And I think that gap has made it a little hard for people to appreciate. Same question,
Dude,
though. Go ahead.
I want to say something on this because, like, as you're going through it, I wanted to make sure I was right about this. And I looked at it. There's a little bit of Michael Bisping here, and bear with me as I try and land this plane. The opportunities he's had, they have not been, hey, too much too soon. It has not been like, oh, here's Corey Sandhagen, we're giving you a chance. It's Corey Sandhagen was coming on back-to-back losses, and he couldn't get over. Like, that was the best dude he fought, and it was not a step up in like this might be a bridge too far. It's like, this is a very winnable fight, and he did not win that fight at all. Same thing. Petr Yan had 3 losses in a row when he fought Song. Like, this was a real opportunity to, hey, maybe you can win this. It's not too much an expectation. And he lost. Same thing happened for most of Bisping's career. When he finally fought good dudes, they beat him. And so he's sort of in that. But the good news is he's still 28. Like, he's still developing. So, like, he's got room here. I think this might be a tough fight for him, though.
I do think it's going to be a tough fight for him. Okay, same kind of question. I know for example, I know Song Yadong has been working with Justin Flores, who also is the judo coach previously of Ronda Rousey, but currently Paddy Pimblett. And I've seen Song Yadong working with him quite extensively. If he has to stand at range with Sean O'Malley in a 3-round fight, I just don't like his chances. Is it takedown or bust for Song Yadong?
It's not takedown or bust, but he needs to mix them. Like, they need to be part of a holistic game plan to attack Sean O'Malley, because, I mean, the range is a huge issue. Sean O'Malley is a little bit taller. I don't know how much. I think a couple inches. Pretty significant reach advantage, and just fights long, much more long than Song Yadong does. Song's best weapon, they are his mitts. And so, like, he doesn't even have like a super
holy shit. Sorry, guys. I got to interrupt with breaking news. Cameron Smotherman just weighs in 135.5, immediately walks off the scale. You're supposed to stand there for 5 seconds and flex. Immediately walks off the scale, face plants on the fucking stage. They're helping him now. That fight's going to get canceled.
So that fight's off.
Can you get video of this?
Yeah. Fuck, dude.
Hope he's okay.
Yeah.
I'm looking up my notes here. Cameron was set to face, let's see here.
Ricky Tercios.
Yeah,
Tercios, yes. The second fight on the card. I hope he's okay.
I'm trying to see if there's vid of it up yet, but nobody's got it dropped yet. Man, that is wild.
Yeah, and obviously the commission's probably going to pull
Has that ever happened?
I've definitely seen them.
I've seen fighters get like woozy and get help, but I've never seen somebody face plant.
I've seen them vomit. I've seen them vomit too. I don't know. I don't know if I've seen face planting like that.
That is.
I guess we'll see. I
hope he's all right, because that sucks. Yeah, and fight's got to be off.
Yeah, so that's going to be so again, I guess the prelims are going to start at 5:30 as opposed to 5 at this point. So
it seems likely.
If we get a video of this, we'll let you guys see it here. Just to wrap up on this particular conversation, is there a world where Sean O'Malley wins and then people are like, okay, I know he got the win, but I don't want to see him fight Yan? Is there a way in which he could fuck this up even by getting the dub?
Yes. I think it's pretty small, because the idea of him fighting Petr Yan is just not really tethered to reality or merit. It's tethered to, they had a fight and people like Sean. And that's the most important part of all of this. But like, I think Song Yadong is going to be a tough fight. I think this to me lines up for like a fight where Sean O'Malley wins comprehensively, and not dominantly, right? Like he's not styling on song. He's just winning, like a professional fight winning. And so people won't be super juiced about it, but in a couple of months that won't matter because they will be juiced about Sean O'Malley fighting Petr Yan again. And that just feels like there's inertia there to it. So I suspect that that's how this will look. But if he really, like if Song Yadong exceeds my expectations and they go nip tuck and it is he just edges it out, congratulations, Rob. You get the title fight you deserve against Petr Yan.
With that in mind, let's remind the viewers here and the listeners as well that the NFL playoffs, well, they have arrived. It's win or go home. And with Pick6, DraftKings' newest fantasy pick'em game, every snap is a chance at bigger payouts. Every yard, every touchdown, every moment, all of it can turn your playoff picks into huge cash prizes. It really could not be simpler. You just choose more or less on 2 or more player stats. The better your picks, the bigger the payout. You can compete, of course, against your peers and then climb the overall leaderboard. Now, so for example, will that star running back top, 100 rushing yards? Is the quarterback going to throw more than 2.5 touchdowns? Whatever it may be, you have to figure that part out. And the best part, DraftKings Pick6 is available in Texas and Georgia and California and dozens of other states nationwide. Now, Jed, I'm looking at the NFL Pick6 here by DraftKings. I don't know if you have a dog in the fight. Are there any I guess you must be a Stafford guy, right?
I mean, yeah, Stafford and I went to UGA at the exact same time.
Right.
We started UGA at the same time. You see him around campus.
Wow.
And I like him a lot more now.
Your lives have diverged, huh?
Yeah. It's hard to say which of us is doing better right now. It's really a toss up as far as that goes. I did not I liked him fine, but he was a little douchey in college because we all were. We were 18 and stupid, and he was 18 and projected to be the number 1 pick since he was 5 years old or whatever.
What high school did he go to?
Tremendously. He went. I think he was a Texas kid somewhere.
Okay. All
right. I believe Texas, maybe Southern Cal. I'm pretty sure Texas.
All right. So the Los Angeles Rams are playing the Seattle Seahawks. That'll be Sunday at 6:30 p.m.
That game bangs.
254.5 passing yards. You taking more or less on fellow alumnus Matt Stafford?
I'm going to take more because I think even though they've played, obviously they're in the same division. They played twice. In the first game, the Rams won, but Stafford threw 100 yards. It was something insane. And the second game, they went to overtime and it was a shootout and Stafford had 500 yards. So I'm going to take the over here because he's got Devontae Adams and Puka, and I think they're going to be forced to be more aggressive. So give me the over.
Okay, so Drake May playing at quarterback, but that's not who I'm curious about. I'm curious about Stephon Diggs. Of course, this is New England at Denver Sunday at 3 p.m. Chuck Mindenhall's game. They've got him at 46.5 yards. You taking more or less?
Less. He's going to get the Patrick Surtain shadow, I assume, because I don't think they're going to put Surtain on booty. So Patrick Surtain's going to be in his hip pocket, and I'm going to guess under on that.
We shall see. I appreciate your perspective. All right, here's how it's going to go, folks. New customers, this is your playoff bonus. You're going to get $50 in Pick6 credits when you make your first Pick6 entry for just $5. So download the DraftKings Pick6 app right now and use code COMBAT. That's combat with a K. Just $5 gets you $50 in Pick6 credits. Ride the upside in partnership with DraftKings Pick6. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Connecticut, call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. 18 plus in most states. Void in New York, Ontario, and where prohibited. Restrictions apply. 1 per new customer. Bonus awarded as non-withdrawable Pick6 credits that expire in 14 days. Terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos. Limited time offer. Before we get to the next set of fights, we have the video of Cameron Smotherman. Long Island, let's take a look here.
Dude, I just saw this.
Dude.
It's like a full-on flare flop. He's in my head when Long Island went. Yeah,
it was really bad. And by the way, the whole weigh-in has been delayed because of it. They were just helping him on stage. The next fighter is just weighing in now, and Alex Perez missed weight too. Worth noting.
Oh, great,
dude. Long Island. When you said he felt in my head, it just did. I don't know what I was visualizing. But the fact that even leaving the scale, he very obviously is just nobody's home. And it's just like, how did nobody see this coming and get to it? Like, damn, that
in
is
the moment,
bad.
I thought I was like, whoa, is he pissed off about something? He just left.
Because he kind of walks forcefully forward, but it's because he can't keep his balance.
He's walking forward because that's gravity taking his legs to the
poor
earth.
Guy, man. Poor guy. One more time. I want to walk this for the audio listeners.
One more time. What the
he
fuck
walks
is wrong
off.
with you?
He walks off and he's like stomping and he literally lands chest and chin first, not on his hands.
Yeah,
which is always a bad fucking sign if they don't brace themselves with their hands. That was not great. Not great.
This is like a train wreck, man. I mean,
that was
he gets his hands up just at the very end.
Okay,
so maybe it didn't, like, he didn't take it on the face at least.
I was gonna say, do we know if he's injured? Did he injure his face at all? Like,
he looked okay. They were rehydrating him. Everyone seemed really concerned. There were a bunch of people around him. They walked him off stage, and then he was just sitting nearby. He had like Mark Ratner and everyone around him, but I don't really know what's going on.
Wow.
Yeah. Weight cutting is great. What a wonderful part of this sport.
I hope he's okay. It's unfortunate that that's the place that we're in. Who else we have here? Someone else just made weight at 204. Oh, Modestas Bukauskas made it at 204. Man, that video is sketch, bro. Here's I'll have a wider angle on the Cameron Smotherman one. Oh, he does get his hand. You're right.
He gets his hands up at right at the very end. So it's not as bad, but man, that's one of the scarier things I've ever seen at a weigh-in.
That is. I don't see that very often.
No. The positive is he won't be fighting and taking head trauma tomorrow.
Okay. Well, yeah, but the downside is he's not going to make any fucking money.
He's not going to make any money. That's also
so it's
true.
like you got to go through all of that, and then there's no financial return. It's unfortunate. All right, let's talk about the rest of this card if we can. The parts that we don't have a weigh-in situation yet for any of these, we'll give it to you as we get it. Heavyweights. This is a fun little one, if I do say so myself. I kind of like this fight. I don't know exactly what it means, but hopefully Jed can tell us. Waldo Cortes-Acosta, who had a phenomenal, truly I mean this, a weird but phenomenal 2025 against the 40-year-old but still quite relevant Derek Lewis. This is obviously them trying to get this heavyweight division, putting permutations together, Jed, that the fans would like to see. Waldo Cortes-Acosta, surprisingly athletic, even though he's got a little bit of a belly. Derek Lewis, we know he's got his limits, but we certainly know he's got his strengths, and he's got a ton of veteran savvy. How much do you think this fight is important for the heavyweight division, and what do you actually like most about this contest?
It is shockingly important for the heavyweight division, which is wild. Like, if you had told me that this was going to be not just significant, but potentially a title conversation fight. If you had told me this last year, if you like in January a year ago, I'd have been like, what are you talking about? What are you smoking? You're on that Justin Gaethje oil rig, whatever the shit that was. And yet it's true, because WCA had a great 2025, 4-1. Nobody even cares about the loss because he got momentum going. Derek Lewis is Derek Lewis, quietly on a 2-fight winning streak. Much has been made of the fact that Derek Lewis is Donald Trump's favorite fighter. And I think that if Derek Lewis gets the W, they would very much like Derek Lewis to be fighting at the White House card. And who that's against, maybe it's for an interim belt, because we don't know what's up with Tom Aspinall. And that's sort of the key to all of this, is the Tom Aspinall question, because he's apparently already had eye surgery. He may have more eye surgery to come. There's no timetable on his return at this point in time. And I don't think the UFC will strip him or even pressure him to, drop the belt like they've done with some other champions, just because the optics of that are super bad, given they let John pretend to be the champion for 3 years or whatever the hell that was. But an interim title fight with Cyril Gane is in play, because maybe it's Cyril Gane versus Alex Pereira, but if it's not, the winner of this fight's probably right in the mix for that. So this is a shockingly relevant fight for the heavyweight title picture, which wild.
I'm looking, as you mentioned, at the rankings. As you indicated, Cortes-Acosta sitting at 5, and it's the spot he is absolutely earned. Lewis at 8, but how far, as you indicated, is Trump's favorite fighter, or one of them anyway. how far away could he be from a title shot, or at a bare minimum, Jed, a placement on the White House card, right? You really, I would obviously have to consider something like that. And then you look at who's ahead of Acosta. It's Blades, Pavlovich, Volkov, and Gane. And there is some traffic there in terms of how he can ascend. But for a guy who had a phenomenal 2025, and here he is picking right back up where 2025 left off to pick up in 26, I mean, the momentum is clearly on his side. You know, I saw someone make a point. Maybe it was Ben Folks, Jed. Maybe it was somebody else. I can't remember. But the point that they had made was it is very, very hard to stand out in the modern UFC when they've got shows, 43-week ends a year, right? And to say nothing of, all the stuff that's other happening, contender series or whatever, it can be hard to stand out. So one way to stand out is just to take a bunch of fights if you can and just stay as busy as possible. And you might win some, you might lose some. But if you have like 3 certainly, but if you have 4 or more fights in a calendar year and 5 in certain cases, that is actually a way you can become memorable. That's exactly what Cortes-Acosta did. That's exactly the plan that he put into place. And now it has worked out swimmingly for him along the way. I actually feel like not only is this one of the biggest opportunities for him in terms of name value, but it's proof of concept of what he kept trying, which was, I will take any fight, any place, just to stay busy. And now the fans have a much clearer understanding of who he is.
If Ben Folks said that, I'm going to fight him, because I've been saying that for like 5 years at this point. The UFC can't build stars in general. We talk about this all the time. We don't have to harp on it. The single best way to build stardom in this sport is to fight a lot, because look at what has happened to Shavkat Rakhmonov. They forget that motherfucker exists. For the last 4 years, he was the guy. He has come. He will reign at welterweight for years to come. And he sat out for a year. Now a year. And they forgot his ass after like 6 months. They were like, I don't give a shit about him. Because this is a sport with the memory of a dumb goldfish. Not just a goldfish, a dumb goldfish. And the only way to break through that is to, be Justin Gaethje and the most exciting fighter of all time, be Anderson Silva and win for 10 straight years, which is really hard to do, or fight a whole lot. Think of these are not crossover breakthrough stars, but think of that tier of fighter who has done it. Donald Cerrone, super popular. Kevin Holland, super popular. Waldo Cortes-Acosta is the proof of this, because that dude 1 year ago today had just come off the most boring fight of all time against Rebellis to Spain, and nobody cared about him. And then he fought 5 times and he wore an eye patch and he got some KOs, and people were like, hell yeah, he's on my TV every other weekend. It is hard not to know who he is. That's what you got to do. I think more fighters are starting to open up to it. But that's it. There are very few ways to break through. And the most consistent, the easiest one to do is fight a whole lot.
Is this matchup being made? Yes, of course, it's a great pairing in terms of knockout potential, obviously. Is it also being made because their matchmakers are looking at Lewis at 40 years of age and being like, he's definitely not done, but it's a little Neil Magny-ish, where this is just going to tell us one way or the other what we have in Cortes-Acosta?
I'm sorry, repeat that. You dropped out for my audio for a minute.
No worries. The question is, clearly they are putting these two guys together because it's a fun fight and it's got a good, they're putting this on the main card of the first show on Paramount. Obviously, knockout potential is going to be a premium in terms of the matchmaking, of course. But is part of it also that they're kind of looking at Lewis, even though he's still coming off 2 wins in a row, as something like a Neil Magny type, where it's like, if we've got something with Cortes-Acosta, if he actually can do something, this fight is going to tell us about what that is.
Yeah, maybe not about what he can do, but what sort of how over he can get. Because I think we're past the point where Derek Lewis is a great gauge of talent in the heavyweight division. He is about to be 42 years old. He is a good gatekeeper to the top 10, but Cortes-Acosta is already in the top 10. So I think this is more this is just a win-win for them, right? Because Derek Lewis is tremendously popular. And if he goes and gets a knockout over he is the hot thing. Waldo Cortes-Acosta is the thing happening at heavyweight, him and Walter Walker, right? And so if Derek Lewis knocks out Waldo Cortes-Acosta, shit, he's on a 3-fight winning streak. They can absolutely throw his ass into an interim title fight, which is good business. And if he doesn't, if Waldo Cortes-Acosta knocks him out, he elevates. He became popular, but not broadly popular. A win over Derek Lewis, that's the sort of jumping pad, launching pad moment to get you to like a more broader fan base. And so people know you, and to be like a real heavyweight player for the casual fan.
I think you're right. This is one of the few fights on the card where I'm like, I'm not saying the UFC doesn't care who wins. They might have some preferences, particularly again for that White House card and Derek, but they'll be happy either way. If Derek gets a knockout, great. There's a lot you can do with that. If Cortes-Acosta gets a knockout, great. There's a lot you can do with that. And of course, this is the case where, this isn't co-promotion between two different rivals. And so the house wins every time, no matter what. But like, it's not the same as it is in the main event, where they clearly would much rather have one guy win than the other. I think this one, they're just playing with house money in either direction. Do you fancy a prediction for this one, Jed?
I got Waldo Cortes-Acosta winning.
Speed, right?
He's just a more technical dude. He's faster. He's got better defense. I think Derek's a little bit washed. I would be interested if Derek does maybe something different, if he goes for some takedowns, because Cortes-Acosta has been pretty good at keeping it up. But Derek Lewis is a demon if he's on top of you, which like he rarely ever is. And the real difference maker for me is Cortes-Acosta's chin appears to be excellent. He has never really even been like hurt in the UFC. He's never been dropped, never been knocked out in MMA. He got knocked out in boxing some, but in MMA, his chin has been very invulnerable. And Derek Lewis is Derek Lewis. He puts the lunchbox on you, you can go down. But I have some level of confidence that if this dude can stand and lose to Sergey Pavlovich, right, but not like be totally afraid of dying against him, that he can do the same against Derek Lewis and just be faster. And Derek Lewis maybe gets jawed and goes out.
Okay. I'm getting breaking news here from Long Island Luke. Long Island Luke, what can you tell us, Jesus H. Christ, about
Davison Figueiredo just missed weight 2.5 pounds, in addition to Alex Perez also missing weight 2.5 pounds, in addition to Cameron Smotherman face planning after making weight. So there's a potential 3 bouts that could get canceled. Maybe we just get 2 fines and maybe just the Smotherman cancellation, but
I think
not a great way.
No chance the Figgy bout gets canceled, right?
I don't think they'll cancel it, but I did not have high hopes for him in this contest anyway. And
I think this is a great move on his part, frankly. Dude, you're gonna lose. Take a 20% fine and try and get a little bit of extra juice.
Jed, it didn't look like an advantage weight miss. It looked like I took everything out of my body and still can't cut anymore.
So I guess a media day when he was saying I was never actually a flyweight, I was just killing myself to make it. I've always been a bantamweight. That was true.
What a mess. All right. For me, I'll go Cortes-Acosta, by the way. I think the speed, a little more technical. Lewis tends to feast more on, not always, but he tends to feast more on guys who are, Cortes-Acosta is a little bit of a donk, but not really. Whereas Lewis kind of feasts more on guys who are just really out of their element. And I don't think Cortes-Acosta is that guy. All right. It brings us now to the women's fight on this main card and the opener of the card. I believe itself, right? If my math is off.
Can we just pause for one moment to acknowledge that this is a shit show of a start for the UFC?
Oh, isn't that?
It's incredible. Also, one dude almost dies. 2 guys miss weight. Bangers.
Also, LT, John Silva, Arnold Allen is the first fight. So this is
I just said it under my breath. Yeah, fair enough. All right, let's talk about the women's fight on this card. It was supposed to be Alexa Grasso. She falls out, and so in steps in Natalia Silva, and she takes on Rose Namajunas. Now, before I even ask you one question about this, Jed, I want to play a clip of hers about what she understands as her title shot potential in the event of a win. Let's roll it.
Rose, did I see you say that you were told if you win this fight, you will get a title shot?
Yeah. Even though I tried, wasn't going to worry about that. And I'm still not too worried about, definitely like looking past this or anything because, we got to stay one step ahead, one step at a time. But it's definitely more motivating. It's more, and I don't need any more motivation. I just want to win. And I'm also very excited to face somebody like Natalia, who's very exciting. And she has, I don't know, she's definitely got some very good talent. So It's very, very exciting.
She's 3-3 in her last 6. She has won 2 of her last 3, to the extent that this is relevant to you. Miranda Maverick being the last of those in June 2024. She is
in Atlanta, baby.
That's right. Oh, that's right. That's right. She is 33 years of age. Do you agree with the UFC giving her a title shot in the event of a win?
100%. This is very obvious. Natalia Silva should be fighting for the belt. Like, she's done everything that needs to be done to do it. She stepped in to take this fight. I think very wisely, because who was Rose, Long Island Luke? Who's Rose originally supposed to fight here?
Alexa Grasso.
Grasso, that's right. And I think there was I think on the table, maybe it wouldn't have happened, but it was very possible that if Rose beat Grasso, she was going to jump past Natalia Silva and get a title fight. And so when Grasso withdrew, Natty Ice was like, hey, I'll fight her, because then that removes the possibility of that happening. I think that's pretty savvy from her. And yeah, this is just an obvious one. Like, Rose is on a good winning streak. Like, who else is going to fight? Well, you could do Erin Blanchfield, but Blanchfield is not like demanding it. And if Rose beats Natalia Silva, she will be the obvious choice for it, because the only person ahead of her would be Manon Fior. Manon just lost. Like, we don't need to do Manon versus Val again. So I think this makes total sense as an outright number 1 contender bout. The UFC has broadly wanted to have Rose versus Val for some time, basically since Rose said she was moving up. And this won't even be like a nonsense one. If she beats Natalia, she deserves it. And so we can feel good that it's like a meritocratic one outside of just being good for business.
Natalia Silva hasn't lost since 2017. Of course, that predates her time even inside the UFC. She is coming off of a win over Alexa Grasso, which was fairly one-sided back at UFC 315. This was the Bilal Muhammad and JDM card in 2025. That was the only time she fought that year. I'm not opposed to the idea of Rose getting one, in part because if you'll recall, Rose and Valentina used to train together too briefly. There was a time where there was overlap, and so there's a little bit of that kind of storyline that they could interject. But to me, like, again, I'm not going to cry if Rose Namajunas gets a title shot, but to me, it's like Natalia Silva is the person who deserves a title shot with a win here. Obviously, with the win, Rose wouldn't even be eligible, or with the loss, I should say, Rose wouldn't even be eligible. I'm just saying, like, Silva's record of achievement is vastly greater at this, not overall, but at the more recent stage of it. It's a fresh situation. I mean, I get, again, if it's an American and a Brazilian, and obviously in this case, only one winner can be that case, they're going to get bumped to the front of the line. But the case for Rose is, I don't know. It's not that strong to me. I get it. I get it promotionally. Believe me, I get it. It's what would do bigger numbers, Rose Namajunas versus Shevchenko or Natalia Silva versus Shevchenko? The answer is obvious. But at the same time, it's like, I think only one of these has really put themselves in a position to even be eligible for this kind of a thing. And as you point out, is Blanchfield screaming for a title shot? No, but she's coming off 2 wins in a row, which Rose is not. I don't know. I don't hate the idea.
She will be coming off 2 wins in a row if she beats Natalia Silva.
Okay,
and
fair enough.
She'll be in the UFC rank. If she beats, look, if they gave her one now, it'd be stupid. And if they gave her one, if she had beat Alexa Grasso, it would be stupid, but very possible. If she beats Natalia Silva, she will either be number 2 or number 3 in the rankings. It'll depend on whether the UFC ranking people or AI, I don't remember if they've done that or not, put Erin Blanchfield, who has a victory over her, above her. But Natalia Silva is number 2 in the rankings. The only person above her will either be Manon, who fought Val last year and lost, and Erin Blanchfield. I think it'll be totally valid if she beats Natalia Silva to give her a title fight. It won't be the greatest, most undeniable title fight of all time, but buddy, this card is being main evented by an interim fight between Justin Gaethje and Paddy Pimblett. Next week, Diego Lopez is getting a rematch with Volk. Yeah. We should be celebrating even the semblance of meritocracy, because that shit don't play no more, man.
Yeah, that's certainly a fair point. Where do you think Rose is as a fighter? Clearly still capable enough to win, capable enough to beat good names, but it does seem like the gap in the lead she had in the division is clearly not there anymore. How do you assess that, and in particular, how that matches up with Silva?
I think Rose is the same fighter she's always been, because she's always been mercurial, right? And like her highs are as high as anybody who's ever competed at women's MMA realistically, but her floor is pretty low and is also like equally as likely to occur. And so the move up, because if you really want to get, down to it, she's 3-2 since moving up to flyweight. Her first fight was very competitive with the undisputed number one fighter that's not Valentina Shevchenko, Manon Fiorot. And that was her first fight in the weight class. If they fought again, maybe she can edge her out. Like that was a very, back and forth sort of affair. And then Erin Blanchfield beat her, but didn't beat her by a whole lot. And Erin Blanchfield's very good. So I think Rose probably isn't a champion, but maybe she could be. And realistically, if you look at her title reigns at 125, they weren't long sustained. Holy shit, no one can beat her. She lost a title fight to Carla Esparza. Like she has super high highs, but she can just not. She can have bad days more frequently than other elite fighters can, and so she feels really tough to pin down, right? Like because it is not like the Miranda Maverick fight was thrilling. She just won it, and so I think that she can beat anybody in this weight class, but she can lose to anybody in this weight class, which is not what most elite fighters are, right? Like Islam Makhachev could beat anybody at lightweight. He could also lose to like 5 of them. He couldn't lose to 20 of them. Rose is kind of weird in that regard, where she could lose to a lot of fighters in this weight class.
By the way, again, I'm sorry to do this, but I'm just trying to get these breaking news. Smotherman Tercios officially canceled. Cameron Smotherman, according to Alex Bahunin, is being transported to the hospital. The Perez and Figgy bouts remain on. So we've only lost one bout. Hopefully that's all that is there. And by the way, I think just Gaethje and Cortes-Acosta are the only two who haven't weighed in yet. Cortes-Acosta coming in too fat to make 265 would absolutely make this perfect. Can I just say that out loud?
Dude,
that would be.
Oh my God, that'd be so
That
good.
would be great.
If Derek Lewis makes weight and Waldo Cortes-Acosta doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, Brock Lesnar had to cut to 265, but, for very different reasons than Cortes-Acosta. The last thing I'll say on this is there's not a lot of chatter about Silva, and she plays like Monica Seles played tennis, or she fights like Monica Seles played tennis, where she kias like Holly Holm, you know what I mean? Like, yeah. And it's sort of a distinctive style of competition. But, dude, she's fucking good.
Let me tell you, Luke, I'm so excited that despite BC leaving, you're still going to keep old man references that none of your fucking viewers will get. Chat, tell me if any of you know who the Monica Seles is.
Do none of you know? Okay, let's bring in Long Island Luke. Do you know who Monica Seles is?
No idea.
Holy shit.
So I know
assume
the
it's like a
name
tennis
Monica
player or
Seles.
something, right?
Are you not aware of a tennis player who was stabbed on the court by a crazed fan? You ever heard of that?
I'm a big Johnny McEnroe guy. Us New Yorkers got to stick together. It's the only tennis
Fair
player
enough.
I know. Yeah.
Look, I know who Monica Seles. I know the name. I could not pick her out of a crowd of 2. Old
what's funny?
Man.
When I was on SiriusXM, she was an intern, but then eventually became a producer when they hired her full time. And this was I'm going to say circa 2017. So I'm 37 at the time. And she was, I guess, 21 or 22, like right at the end of college. So somewhere around there. Mm-hmm. And Star Wars had one of the Star Warses had come out, like the new ones.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, and Harrison Ford is in it. And she's like, who's Harrison Ford? Jesus. And I'm like, right. Okay. Dude. I was like, you've never seen Indiana Jones? Like, nope, don't even know what the fuck that is. I was like, so here's how this works.
You're more old and washed than I am. Can I tell you a very brief old wash story?
Yeah.
I'll keep it as very, very brief, because this was like genuinely one of my first, oh my fucking God, I'm old moments. And it happened last year. I met this girl. I went on a date with her. She's a little younger than me. She's 30. And we were talking, long story short, she was telling me about going paddleboarding down the river and getting stuck because she got too tired to go back up. And she was like, yeah, so I had to call one of my friends to come pick me up. Thank God I have GPS on my phone. Can you imagine living in a world without GPS? And I was like, I don't have to imagine, bitch. I did. I used to print out MapQuest directions. How does the gap between us feel like a canyon when it's 6 years? It was It's the oldest I've ever felt my whole life.
Printing out MapQuest, bitch. I used to buy the books where you would have to go around the DC Beltway.
I had a map of Georgia in my car for a long time.
Because the thing is, MapQuest would give you directions like turn left here, turn right at the circle, whatever. But with the old way was you had to open the book, look at the map, and you have to memorize. Okay, I'm taking the third lane to the right on exit 24B. You'd have to have that whole thing fucking memorized behind the wheel of a car. And now be like, oh, what could you do without GPS? Use your brain power, you fucking idiots out there.
Just old wash dudes.
Old wash dudes. All right, to that end, Natalia Silva, very, very good fighter. Just hasn't made an imprint on the fan base yet. But I also think, again, you just have to ask yourself what the promotion is doing here. They're using Rose. If she gets a big win, they can slot her up. And otherwise, Natalia Silva gets a big win over a name to then slot up for a fresh title challenger in that particular case to Shevchenko. I think either way, there's significant upside for the fans and the promotion as well.
100%. These are both like this and the WCA Derek Lewis. They're both win-wins. The two top end fights, I think there's a clear side the UFC prefer. Both of these, no wrong way to eat that Reese's.
I do love Reese's. Reese's is the king of candies. People are like, oh, the king of candies is like Snickers. If you're a fucking traitor, it is. Reese's peanut butter cups. Fuckheads. All right. Last but not least for this main card, this fight to me was going under the radar, but I feel like this week things have really, I don't know, they've definitely come to life for this bout. Arnold Allen takes on Jeon Silva in a 145-pound match that just you gotta absolutely freaking love. What a contest this is. I love everything about it. Now, before we do anything else, I have to play this. Oh, wait. Do we have the one of him talking about eating bugs? Do we have the eating bugs one?
That's Gaethje, not Arnold Allen.
Oh, what am I saying?
Yeah.
What am I? Jesus. Okay.
Old wash man.
Brain just not working. All right, let's start here if we can. Arnold Allen. Let's use this clip. I'm going to play a clip for you about Silva insinuating why he even took this fight to begin with, and I want you to tell me what that tells you about the matchmaking. Go ahead.
Well, what happened was this fight had been scheduled before. It was in docket, but apparently he had to pull out because some sort of injury in one of his shoulders, or maybe he needed to move up in division or something of the sort. So we don't know. But he was also set up to fight Aaron Pico, and he kind of backed that last minute and, on short notice, and he didn't take it. So is it that he took the fight against me, or did the UFC make him take it?
Arnold Allen has not been super busy, and that's been true for some time, but it's been especially true now. And you realize he's still just 32. He should still be in his athletic prime. What do you make of what Silva says here?
I mean, I doubt that the UFC made Arnold Allen take this fight, because I don't like, why would Arnold Allen not want to take this fight? This is a great fight for Arnold Allen. He might lose. I want to be really clear on that. But like, Jeon Silva's guy's got juice. Like, these are the kind of fights you want if you are, especially a guy who's been forgotten because you haven't fought in 18 months. And so Jeon Silva says stuff. He is my boy, and I love him because I loved him for a long time before people started to love him, but he talks a whole lot, and I'm not even sure he knows what he's saying. He just sort of talks because he can't bark all the time. But if he could communicate exclusively through barks, trust that that's exactly what that man would be doing.
Let me pull up my notes here. I apologize. Allen spoke to our friend Brian Campbell about some of his motivation coming into this contest. I want to play it and get your reaction.
Do you feel like there's a motivation within you that like people kind of forgot about?
Yeah, 100%. I'm pissed off, right? I want to go and show how good I am. I want to remind people how good I am, and no questions, no asterisks. I want to go out and show what I can do, because I know how good I am, and I think a lot of people do, but I'm definitely being written off in this fight, and that's cool.
He's 20-3 is his official record. As I indicated, 32 years of age. He is coming off the Giga Chikadze win over back-to-back losses, and once in 2023 of Max Holloway, and then once in 2024 of Movsar Evloev, although both of those ended up having a pretty interesting degree of competitiveness. Are people sleeping on Arnold Allen? Has his absence and sort of quiet demeanor relative to Jeon Silva, who literally just barks his way through press conferences, has the public forgotten about him as a relevant contender at 145?
100%. Dude, I told you already, they forgot about Shavkat. This is Arnold Allen. Arnold Allen didn't finish every dude he ever fought, and he's been out for 18 months instead of just a year. Like, I love Arnold Allen. I've been a huge Arnold Allen supporter for a very long time. He's that weird nexus where, like, especially if you're a media, like more like me, less like you, though still some, where like you want fighters to say quotes so you can write those and do something with that. Arnold does not do that at all. That was like one of the first times like, oh, that was like a pretty good little, like a quote from Arnold Allen. And yet I want to hear him talk at media day because I just like him. Like, he seems like a dude who'd be great to have a beer with or go to Tesco with or whatever. And people are absolutely sleeping on him because they were sleeping on him before, right? Like the Max Holloway loss, despite being competitive against Max freaking Holloway, really read as oh, now we have an excuse to forget about this dude because he fights so infrequently and they just kind of want to. So I think he might lose. It's very, very possible that John Silva beats him. And it's hard to feel confident in Arnold Allen coming off such a long layoff and being so hit or miss lately. But like, this is one of the 6-7 best dudes in the world in this weight. If he's on form, the question is he on form?
What I love about this contest is you got a guy in Silva who's a lot of offense, not much defense. And then you got a guy in Allen who's a lot of defense. I'm not going to say not much offense, but is certainly defensively oriented. And then the question is, well, which one gives here? And Silva, okay, he is coming off of a bad loss where he had some inspired moments, but, you know, in general has been on a pretty good run. But again, I think there's a question of like what his defensive readiness is. But Arnold Allen has been infrequently there, as we've indicated. He is still very good, but still, I don't think has reached his full potential. With a win over Silva, who's just sitting at 10 in the rankings, Jed, what does Allen prove exactly?
I mean, some of it will be how he wins, right? Like if he wins a sort of classic Arnold Allen, good, not very memorable fight, it's not going to prove a lot. It's just going to be like, oh, Arnold Allen is he's still dude. If he could ever find a way to fight more than once a year, people might care about him. If he Dan Hookers him, you know, like people forget about the Dan Hooker fight because it feels like it happened 10 years ago. But if he Dan Hookers John Silva, should Diego Lopez beat John Silva? He's fighting for a title. I'm not saying the same thing's going to happen for Arnold Allen, but I am saying that if he beats him and somehow doesn't break both his hands and tear an Achilles, and can fight again this year, that fight's probably against like a Lerone Murphy for a title eliminator or Diego Lopez if he loses to Volk. It's probably a fight of that magnitude. So it's a really important fight for him, frankly, on Saturday.
Also, not for nothing, but they're clearly also giving some opportunities here. I mean, the Brazilians always make themselves available for high-level fights because they're very, very good. But also of note, like the UFC still making sure that they're nurturing that market, putting Silva in a fight that maybe he hasn't necessarily earned, although I do like the pairing. Natalia Silva getting a huge opportunity as well. Just some fun opportunities there along the way. All right, time for a prediction. Silva and Allen, what do you think?
My head says John Silva. My heart kind of says Arnold Allen, frankly, despite John Silva being my boy. Activity matters a lot in the sport. In general, John Silva, my hope for John Silva is he is coming off that Diego Lopez fight that he lost. And I think people, because of how it unfolded, I think people maybe don't remember that fight as well as I do. He lost the first round dominantly. He was tuning Diego up in the second round. And then he did the John Silva thing where he got way too excited about anything happening, ran in and got killed. I'm hopeful that will teach him a lesson like Justin Gaethje had to learn so long ago. Like, maybe I can't be a total psycho every second of every fight. And he'll come in as a more like focused fighter. And if that happens, I think that even as good as Arnold Allen can be in his best day, he's probably still going to lose a decision. And if Arnold Allen is rusty at all because of the long layoff, I think he's in a lot of trouble. So I'm going to go John Silva by decision, but I would love to see Arnold Allen kind of come back with a vengeance here.
Long Island Luke, what are the odds on this particular contest from our friends at DraftKings?
I got Arnold Allen earlier in the week at plus 240 and John Silva was minus 325. Right now, Arnold Allen is plus 210, John Silva minus 258.
A little bit of money coming in on Arnold Allen. I got to say, I'm torn, right? because the reality is in MMA, and this changes obviously the higher you go, but as a general rule, offense is more important than defense. But of course, as the higher up you get, you can't really play with that. But if you had to weigh which one's more important for winning fights in MMA, the answer is obviously offense. But at the same time, Silva's fucking reckless. You know what I mean? And he does dumb shit and he takes dumbass chances. The question is like what that means against like is the Diego Lopez fight with the worst one for him because Lopez will also play a little bit reckless, but is just better anyway. And so he made him pay. Or is it someone who is very defensively sound who can just neutralize all of that and wait for his opportunity in a 3-round fight? I'm going to go Jayon Silva, but I really do hope Arnold Allen wins because I've been waiting for him to turn a corner to the next level. And this would be a great opportunity for him. I just don't know if he will.
Dude, it is entirely possible that he, in fact, Dan Hookers him. That Jean Silva just runs in recklessly and he just throws a right hand and that's the ball game. Like that's very much in play and would honestly be kind of sick because I think if Jean Silva lost 2 in a row, he would have to be an adult. Like he'd have to go back. His camp would be like, hey man, we want to control your psychosis and just spurts. Like you don't build the plane out of being crazy. That's part of the whole constituent game that we're going to build around you.
We shall see. All I know is I'm a little surprised that the heavyweight fight isn't opening the card, but it doesn't really matter. It's a great fight to open the card just the same, right?
I think the idea is there's just no way this fight is boring because Jean Silva is like allergic to being in boring fights.
Yeah.
And while it's unlikely, Derek Lewis and Waldo Cortes-Acosta could be boring because that's sort of always an option with heavyweight fights. Sometimes they can get big and heavyweighty and just not do a lot.
Let's go to Long Island Luke here. It turns out we're only waiting for Justin Gaethje to weigh in. Is that right?
Yeah. And I mean, as time, he's got 15 minutes, but as time's dwindling down and getting a little nervous here.
Is he usually late? When I say late, I mean like later in the window.
Yeah, I don't know.
He's never missed weight, so
but
at least not to my recollection.
You're on antibiotics because
but I was going to say, like, if you don't have staph and just have an ingrown hair, maybe your weight fluctuates. I don't know. That would be categorical disaster, frankly. So knock on wood.
Well, no. Okay, so hold on. Let's talk about this. If he misses weight, then the bout would, I'm assuming like by a couple of pounds, not by some astronomical amount. If he were to miss weight, again, we were talking in hypotheticals, the interim title would still be on the line for Paddy.
Correct.
It just wouldn't be on the line for Justin.
Correct.
Which would still fucking suck because if Justin wins,
then it's a nightmare,
especially via knockout. And you're like, okay, well, you could have taken that to a lot of places. I'm not anticipating that.
I don't think it's actually the worst case scenario as long because this is just a #1 contender fight essentially for who fights Ilya. So who cares if the interim title isn't there? If Justin wins,
I gotta tell you,
still gets Ilya next, arguably.
No, I gotta tell you, you know who this is just terrific news for? If Justin Gaethje does miss weight, Arman Tsarukyan just moved to the head of the line, baby. If Gaethje misses weight and beats Paddy,
good point.
Arman Tsarukyan might just jump the line.
Arman Tsarukyan's going to be like that, that GIF from Shannon Sharp.
Yeah. He's going to be posting today if that happens.
Before we talk about the prelims here, very quickly, let's do some DK Pick6 here on the UFC side of things. We talked about it a little bit earlier on the NFL side, but we can do it for the UFC side. It's all available right now. And by the way, presented by DraftKings, the crown is yours. Let's do a little bit of this here. So on the MMA side, Jed, we got all these different fighters and different permutations for them. I don't want to get to the prelim portions now, but okay. For example, Derek Lewis, you can get him at 0.5 knockouts. You can take more or less. But the more interesting one to me are the striking totals. So if you look around, they got Natalia Silva 63.5. I would take the over on that. I think one way or the other, that one's going to be active. I'll put it that way. Sean O'Malley 79.5. That seems high. Song Yadong has a pretty good chin. The one that's interesting to me is 61.5 for Paddy Pimblett. What do you think? Over or under?
I want to say under, but 5-round fights are just tough. And especially like sig strikes on the ground like that. I lean under on that, but there's not a lot of confidence in that pick.
So for Paddy Pimblett, if you go to UFC stats, Fight Metric, he averages per minute strikes landed 5.19. So he would have to be, let's see, that would be a little bit over 25 a round.
Mm-hmm.
So you're talking about 3 rounds that would cover if he does his average.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of the question here, is like what you think Justin is going to take away from him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, maybe it might, honestly, over might be right. Like it also then that's so volatile because again, it's back to our analysis. I think if Paddy gets 2 takedowns, this fight's probably over. Like he's probably just going to beat the shit out of Justin on the ground. I'm so glad you mentioned that. So for Paddy on the takedowns, more or less, ready? They got you right. They got you right in the middle. God. 2.5. 2.5. Yeah. To me, that's one, like, if you think Paddy's winning, take the over. If you think he's losing, take the under. And maybe he gets 2 and he just finishes him immediately. And so you still lose that way. But I feel like I obviously there's probably not as much to make on it given the state of the odds, but Gaethje at 0.5 takedowns, I'm taking the under on that. He's going to go smash the under on that. Smash the under, right? Dude, like, because go back to the Michael Chandler fight. Paddy didn't take Michael Chandler down. Michael Chandler shot a takedown and Paddy scrambled. If Justin shoots a takedown, which he doesn't do anyway, though he started to mix in, it would be disastrously stupid to try and take Paddy down. He mixed in a little bit in the Fiziev rematch just for, just to play the levels. But yeah, and that's Fiziev. That's fine. Like Paddy's best takedowns are in transition, in scrambling anyway. So like it would be incredibly dumb for him to shoot a takedown on Paddy unless it is purely the last 10 seconds of a round or something. Like it would just be so stupid. Fight time. Here we go. Ready? Fight time. For Paddy, 12.5 minutes. So less than 3 rounds. I take the over. Take the over. I think that line is good though, because I can totally see it being under, but I'll take the over. We're going to talk about the prelims here in just a second, but they've got that dude, Ateba Gaethje, very quickly for 4.5 minutes on the over under. I don't know a great deal about his opponent. I'll be honest. I know a little bit. I'm taking the under. I'm taking the under on that one. I don't think that one's going to go 4 minutes. That guy has the death touch. He does. I love Ateba. Pulayev's been like kind of durable in his career, but if it goes over, it's just over. Like he's not making it to the 3rd round. Yeah. Pullayev has lost to, I should say, forgive me, Christian Leroy Duncan, which is actually turning out to be a pretty good fighter. And then he beat Nick Klein pretty easily. So maybe he can go more, I suppose. I guess we'll have to see. Last for me on this one, if I can. Let me do, this is an interesting one. Control time. Control time. So now, again, control time is not just on top. People don't misunderstand this. Control time is also pressing someone into the fence, okay? 3.5 minutes for Paddy. I'll go over, but I'll go over because of the fence stuff. But like, if he gets on top of Justin, I think the clock is way less than 3 minutes before he finds a finish. Yeah. And then last but not least, they've got, one more time, Umar Nurmagomedov, 9.5 minutes of control. I'm taking the over. Yeah. The only way that doesn't hit is if Umar taps him early. Right. That's just it. Short of that. Although I don't know, maybe Fat Figgy's got some juice to him, Yeah, true. I'm still taking it. All right. And as always, presented by DraftKings, the crown is yours. Let's talk quickly, if we can, about these prelims, which, again, this card, to me, people can bellyache about the whether or not Armin should be in here, whether there should be an interim title, all that stuff. But let's talk about some of these prelims. I got to tell you, one of the ones people are sleeping on, Michael Johnson taking on Alexander Hernandez. No one's talking about that one. That one should be ridiculous for as long as it lasts.
Real quick, Justin Gaethje made weight, 155 pounds.
How do you look?
He looks great. He looks fine.
All right. Very good.
He was just making people wait for funsies.
Yeah. All right, so let's talk about Ateba Gaethje taking on Andre Pullayev. Gaethje, well, let's see this. Brian Campbell out there doing hard-hitting journalism. Let's look at this clip.
I heard, man, your diet consists of a lot of bugs. Is this a true fact? And which ones taste the best? I got to know this, okay?
So, like, my diet doesn't consist of a lot of bugs, but I do eat bugs, you know.
Crickets, right?
Crickets, yeah, I do eggs, yeah. So, it tastes good, to be honest. Like, you have to try before, like, you know, people can judge, but they never try it.
Okay, but I'm afraid of spiders. I could never imagine putting one inside.
No, like, with the right spicy and everything, you'll be good.
Okay,
you'll be good.
Truly Brian Campbell's calling to talk about eating bugs.
Okay. That's so great. Nevertheless, this guy loves cats. He is built like fucking prime Evander Holyfield. I love this guy at middleweight, and maybe Pulev is a decent test, but I'm all aboard the Gaethje hype train. I'll just say that out loud.
I loved him coming off Contender Series. It's like he's 23 and a murderer. Like if he even just kind of gets better consistently, he's just going to be incredible. He rocks. Good for him eating bugs. I've eaten some bugs. You know,
they eat bugs in Colombia. I'm not for me.
Come on. You didn't like I've had cricket. Cricket's fine. The bugs don't taste like shit. They're just crunchy mostly.
Yeah, I'm not. I'd rather just starve.
Nice.
Yeah, there you go. Nikita Krylov, who has kind of fallen off a little bit, taking on I would argue somewhat resurgent Modestas Bukauskas. I would not have said this fight would be competitive 3 years ago for Bukauskas, but I actually think it's very competitive for him now.
Yeah, Bukauskas is going to win because Nikita Krylov is super washed, and he's on like a 5-fight win streak.
Yeah, Alex Perez missed weight, taking on maybe one of the most underrated fighters on this roster, Charles Energy Johnson. Love this fight for Johnson, and I think he wins this one walking away.
Very much agree. Odds, Long Island Luke, I think are actually still fairly close on this one, which is interesting given the run Alex Perez has been on. He's won like one of his last 7 fights or something.
Plus 145 Perez, minus 175 Energy.
Yeah, I would really think Johnson should be a bigger favorite than that in general, but doesn't take that many takedowns from Alex Perez, which could happen. But yeah, I think Charles Johnson's going to win this one.
Michael Johnson's 39. However, 3 wins in a row, if you can believe it. The last of those over Daniel Zellhuber, which is a pretty nice one, taking on Alexander Hernandez, who himself, by the way, 33 years of age, 4 wins in a row. It's the longest UFC win streak he's had. And some decent names, certainly closer to the top of that one. Diego Ferreira being the last of those. Love this fight. Maybe the most interesting fight that's not getting a lot of attention as folks pay attention to the card.
Yeah. When Long Island and I did No Bets Barred this week, I was stunned to realize that this is not just like a throwaway lightweight fight. It kind of matters. Like they got 2 guys on good winning streaks, which is insane to think of that for basically either of them. And feels like good matchmaking. So I think Alex Hernandez is going to win, but I don't know. I thought Daniel Zellhuber would kill Michael Johnson. Shows what I know.
I just want to say a lot of money has obviously come in on Michael Johnson because I don't remember what he was earlier in the week, but I know Alexander Hernandez was like minus 165-ish. He's minus 120 now. Michael Johnson plus 100. So
interesting. Okay. That is our preview of the card. And with that, we now move to,
bits.
I'll bring skits and bits here. I'll bring in Long Island Luke here because what I said was when BC left the show, what I said was, listen, Long Island's got a lot of ideas. We're just going to turn him loose here. So tell us about your ideas here, Long Island.
Well, naturally, I ripped off one of BC's ideas. This will be similar to something we've done, Orange et Toi, which is BC's thing, where you rank 3 random things. This will just be all about tomorrow's card, though. We're going to call it Rank That Card.
Rank That Card! It sucks.
Creative name.
I don't know who that was, but
what a creative name.
Guys, so first thing, rank that card. Who will be the Brazilian with the best chance to win a UFC title in 2026? John Silva, Davison Figueiredo, or Natalia Silva?
This is easier. Natalia Silva.
I know who's third.
Rank them first, second, third, Luke.
Oh, Silva won. Natalia Silva, excuse me. Natalia Silva won. I'll say Jayon too, because I think Figueiredo is finito.
Yeah. Figgy is very obviously 3.
He was just the third Brazilian.
I'm going to go Jean Silva over Natalia Silva because if he beats Arnold Allen, they might throw him in there. And I think I kind of think Volk's going to lose to Diego Lopez this time around. But like, even if he's not, he's old. And if Diego fights him again, maybe John beats it. Mainly the idea is, I don't know if you know this, Luke, the current women's flyweight champion is a woman named Valentina Shevchenko. She doesn't really lose. So I'm just not going to assume Natalia Silva's going to do that.
That's a good point too.
They never lose until they do. You understand that?
Yeah, but she lost and then she came back and stopped losing again.
That's true.
All right, second, fighters undefeated in the UFC with the biggest chance of losing tomorrow. Natalia Silva, Atiba Gaethje, or Paddy Pimblett?
I put Gaethje 3.
Agree.
Pimblett's got to have a bigger chance at losing. So I'd put him 1, Silva 2, Gaethje 3.
I mean,
right?
odds-wise, that's correct. I might flip it just because I think Rose has a really good chance of beating Natalia Silva tomorrow. I think that is a fight that may line up very well for her. And, you know, I'm picking Gaethje, but in my head, I believe Paddy has a much better chance of winning that fight. So I think I'd swap them, but you're probably objectively correct.
Luke is going by the odds, you know, not on purpose.
I mean, I wasn't looking at the odds,
not on purpose, but you know what I mean. 38-plus-year-olds who will have more UFC fights after UFC 324. Davison Figueiredo, Derek Lewis, Michael Johnson. Meaning,
now, are you asking
Saturday,
how many fights they would have from after this day?
Correct. Not like how many fights they have in their career. Just after Saturday, who continues fighting the most after that?
I'll say Lewis 1.
He's the oldest, by the way.
I know, but it's heavyweight, so he's really not.
That's a good argument.
That's a tough one after these two. I'm going to say Johnson 2, Figueiredo 3. I actually feel like Figueiredo's going to like try and linger a little bit.
Dude, at media day, Figgy was like, I'm not close to retiring.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
I think I agree.
All right. Fair enough. Fourth, fighters whose stock will drop the most with a loss on Saturday. Josh Hokett, Sean O'Malley, or Umar Nurmagomedov? Who has the most to lose with a loss?
Well, it's definitely not Hokett.
Yeah. He's number 3 for sure.
I feel like a Nurmagomedov losing in the UFC would be a big fucking deal.
I mean, he already has lost to Merab.
Okay.
Yeah, but he lost to
I
Merab.
mean, yeah, and it was a very competitive, really good fight. But him losing like outside of a title thing would be, I mean, that's a tough, I mean, no, it has to be Nurmagomedov. Sean O'Malley's coming off 2 fucking losses. Here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. We're talking about Sean O'Malley like, oh, here's a chance at resurgence. So if he loses, is his stock going to tank because we all thought he had a new lease on life, and then now the bottom gets dropped out on that? That's a question. So I might go. No, I'm going to stay. I'm going to go Nurmagomedov 1, O'Malley 2, Hokett 3.
It's Nurmi 1 because 1, people are already ready to bury him. Like he lost to Merab, and then the win over Mario Batista was not like thrilling. And if he loses, I think he would be the biggest favorite loss in the history of the UFC because he's like minus 1,800 at places or whatever right now. So I think that would be pretty devastating.
True. All right. Fair enough. Up next, underdog with the best chance of winning. Rose Namajunas, Derek Lewis, or Arnold Allen?
I think Arnold Allen probably has the best chance, both odds-wise and just like realistically. I'll go Arnold, Rose, Derek.
LT?
Underdog with the best chance of winning. I'll go, I think, I'll go Derek 1. No, I'll go Rose. I'll go in order. Rose, Derek, Arnold.
Okay, so opposite, Jed. Up next, former champion with the best chance to regain a title. Davison Figueiredo, Rose Namajunas, or Sean O'Malley?
Gotta be Sean O'Malley 1.
Yeah. In reverse order. O'Malley, Namajunas, Figgy.
See, but you guys are so confident. He's still got to beat Jan or whoever's the champion at that time. You know, like, granted, he'll probably
just has to beat one dude.
Bro, but like Figueiredo had his knee destroyed by Sandhagen.
All right, Figgy, we're just, again, he's just thrown in because he's the only other former champion.
I see.
But like Rose, bro, you don't think, like, all she got to do is win tomorrow and then beat Val, that's not that crazy. If she wins tomorrow, I think
it's not crazy, but I don't.
Again, the beating Val part. pretty tough
and also,
thing to
O'Malley,
do.
I know it's controversial, but O'Malley did beat Jan.
Three
round fight, 2022, but still.
All right. Up next, we got most entertaining fighter on the card: John Silva, Justin Gaethje, or Derek Lewis.
Come on, what the fuck are we doing here, man?
I want to
see. It could be both personality,
it
could be in the cage. You could factor it all in together, Jed.
Justin Gaethje, the most exciting fighter who's ever fucking lived.
All right. Well, who's your number 2?
John Silva, but if you want to put Derek Lewis, that's fine.
LT.
Yeah, the thing is, Silva's very, very fun, but he's a little annoying too.
Oh, he's super annoying.
So I'm gonna go Gaethje 1, Avi, and then I'll go Lewis 2 and Silva 3.
All right. Up next, we got most likely to avoid a third straight loss. Well, Cameron Smotherman. I mean, I guess he's the most likely to avoid a third straight loss.
He did avoid that.
Nikita Krylov or Alex Perez, I guess we'll just...
Perez would be 1, Krylov 2.
Yeah, I'm with him. Krylov's looked so bad lately.
See, I'm going to go opposite on that. I feel like... actually, no, I do like Alex Perez in that fight. I'll take that back. Naming duo with the best chance of both fighters winning. So are both Johnsons going to win? Michael Johnson and Charles Johnson? Alex Perez and Alex Hernandez? Or John Silva and Natalia Silva?
The Silvas have to be number 1.
I'm going to go the Johnsons.
As number 1?
Yeah, well, I think Charles Johnson's going to win outright, and I think Michael Johnson's got a pretty good chance.
It's not crazy. I'm going to go Silvas. I mean, they are both favored to win outright, and Johnson's 2. The Alexes are certainly 3rd.
All right, fair enough. And then last but not least, most likely to win by finish: Modestas Bukauskas, Atiba Gauthier, or John Silva.
Dude, they might put handcuffs on Gauthier after he sends that motherfucker's head into orbit. I mean, what are we talking about?
Am I the only one who's like,
number 1?
Bro, probably because I bet the under 1.5. I bet Gauthier by KO, all this shit. I have such a feeling that fight's going to go the distance and he's going to like lose and we're all going to be so... I'm getting like Malcolm Wellmaker vibes.
I mean, I'll be honest. I'm a little bit on... Yeah, it's a fair point you bring up. Yeah. I'm a little bit on autopilot in terms of like my support for him.
Yeah.
But you could be right. You could be right.
It's fine to be on autopilot there.
But who you guys got 2 and 3 here? John Silva or Bukauskas?
Bukauskas. Arnold's never been stopped. Yeah. And Nikita Krylov has been stopped a lot lately.
Yeah, Krylov is a donk. So Bukauskas got to be 2. Silva 3.
All right. Well, that does it for that, guys. That was Rank That Card.
All right, not too bad. Not too bad.
We could do that for every card if we want, if we got shit to do. But next up is going to be a segment that we've kind of been workshopping. There's a few different ideas for it. And one of the ideas our producer Matt Snyder came up with, which was essentially putting 2 fighters' names or figures in combat sports into like ChatGPT or an AI generator, and then it spit out a dialogue between these 2 people. So we haven't told Luke or Jed who these 2 people are. They're going to read line for line for these people and then try and figure out who they're speaking on behalf of. So this is called MMAI.
Okay. This is a weird one. So how do I do this? I just read A?
Line A. And I
just start reading it and say,
okay, here we go, Jed. Ready? Yeah. Ready? Here we go.
Let's do it. Let's get our acting shoes on.
We're trying stuff here. I just wanted to clear the air. I know I've made some declaratives, and the timing of everything may appear convenient.
Okay.
That wasn't about fear or avoidance. It was about timing. And since then, I've been doing a lot of reflecting, and I recognize that I may have had things more complicated than they needed to be.
Uh-huh.
I want to be clear. I'm not done. I'm just selective.
So what do you want?
You know what I want.
Well, I got to drag this out as long as I can, right?
I'll take whatever you give me, except for that one guy I won't take.
What the fuck is going on?
So I can give you guys hints if you're like,
I want to guess.
Totally lost. Yeah.
Am I Ilya Taporia?
You are not Ilya Taporia.
Is Luke John Jones?
Yes.
Yeah.
LT was John Jones. And Jed, do you know who you were?
I'm assuming Dana White.
Correct. Jed nailed it. I'm impressed. All right. Good. I'm glad that worked out.
I'll be totally honest. I was completely lost until I'll take whatever you give me except that one guy. I was like, that sounds a lot like John Jones to me.
All right.
Oh, right. Well, you know what? Ilya was playing like, I'm not going to fight this guy. I'm not going to fight that guy. That's what I thought. All right, here we go. This is number 2. All right. Well, that was fun.
Yeah, man. Great time. Appreciate you coming on.
It flew by.
Hey, can I tell you something? Something important.
Sure. Yeah, of course.
Keep this between us, okay?
You have my word.
Do you know that MMA is high-level problem solving with dire physical consequences?
Okay, so you're obviously Joe Rogan, right?
Yes.
Okay, and I am...
I have no idea who you are.
Who the fuck
am I? The Rogan thing was a great bit. I
don't know
that
who I am.
Anybody.
You are you, Luke. It's what Joe Rogan said to you after your podcast together.
The problem with mine in this case was it's so generic that it's really hard to tell.
Yeah,
you know?
it was tough. But,
but the chat has been begging for you to give what happened, and now they know. Now they know what happened after the Rogan podcast.
Yeah, it wasn't like that. All right, here we go. Number 3. Oh wow, long time, huh?
Yeah, good to see you.
Kind of crazy how things circle back in this sport.
They sure do.
It's been how long since we fought?
1,658 days. Awkward silence.
Keep going.
Oh, I'm sorry. I never forgot what you said to me.
I think about it a lot. Is it who had a fight? Oh, is it
my hint to you is it's not someone who's currently scheduled for a rematch. I feel like it kind of implies that in the dialogue, like they're reminiscing like they're gonna fight again, but they're just reminiscing on the first time they fought.
Is it Nunes and Shevchenko or something?
No, Jed, you have any guesses?
Who had a big break between their fights?
Again, it's not a break between fights. It's just they're reminiscing on the one time they fought, which just happens to be that long ago. Yeah,
I had nothing on this.
This is too generic.
It's tough. It's Greg Hardy and Tai Tuivasa reflecting on their intimate words exchanged. Let's bang.
We were definitely going to get that.
Yeah. Dude, they should have had something about them having sex because that would have been the giveaway.
All right. Well,
you know what I mean?
LT, the next one is a solo read for you. So my hint for you before you read it is you're a combat sports figure endorsing a product. So those are going to be the 2 guesses. Guess the product and guess who you are.
Okay. All right, here we go. This podcast is brought to you by Focus, not the app, the feeling. I've been experimenting with a more direct approach to productivity, less meditation, more momentum. You don't need instructions. You just need confidence and curiosity. Is it legal? I'm not really sure anymore. Is it natural? Well, emotionally, yes. Anyway, if you're tired of slow mornings and moral hesitations, maybe wellness isn't about less. Maybe it's about more. Am I Dana White?
No, Jed.
Am I Chael?
Is this Sean O'Malley and his whatever the hell thing he's been pumping out?
No, it was Craig Jones endorsing cocaine.
Oh.
Very wellness focused.
Right. So now that we know that, this podcast is brought to you by Focus, not the app, the feeling. I've been experimenting with a more direct approach to productivity, less meditation, more momentum. You don't need instructions. You just need confidence and curiosity. Is it legal? I'm not really sure anymore. Is it natural? Emotionally, yes. That's hilarious. Okay, very good. All right, last one.
Wait, and we got to give you a hint on the last one too, because it's tough. It's a media member and someone close to them.
Okay, here we go. Jed, you ready?
Yep.
I've been watching. Yeah.
What do you think?
They were fine, like technically fine, very professional, but there's a certain warmth missing.
They seem happy.
Give it time.
I have a theory.
Okay, what is it?
I'm not entirely sure who the people discussing are, but I feel like maybe it's I'm trying to think who this might be. Is this discussing the MK changes without Brian Campbell?
Yes, it's discussing MK 2.0.
Then who would the people be though?
The donks?
No.
Dude, the donks wouldn't use a word like professional. Come on. What the fuck are you talking about? There's a certain warmth missing. Do you think that sentence has ever been put in your chat?
I don't know. I mean, the read is correct.
Is it Brian Campbell talking to you, Long Island Luke, about what's his absence?
You're very close. You're 50% there, and it's probably just too hard. But you are Brian Campbell talking to his wife about the new MK.
Oh, I was really close then.
I like this segment. It needs a little work.
Yeah,
needs a little work.
I didn't even know if it was going to go. Jed guessed the first one. I was like, oh, all right, this is going great. But
I think there's some juice to this segment. But maybe some more AI prompt work.
Yeah, I think the prompting needs a little help. But not bad. Not bad for the first one. Well done, Long Island. I appreciate these 2 segments. Thank you very much.
That one was all Matt. You got to give Snyder credit for that one.
Oh, fair enough. Yeah, we'll give it to
Snyderverse.
Jed, thank you so much for joining me. Why don't you tell folks what you've got going on for coverage as it pertains to UFC 324?
We've got a preview show coming up in a couple hours at MMAfighting.com YouTube. Most of you donks in the chat are already over there or will be over there. But if you're not, come join us. Traditional coverage, Jose Young's boots on the ground in Vegas right now, all that same stuff, and a watch party tomorrow night at the MMA Fighting YouTube as well. So hop on in. We're going early. We're kicking things off right at the start of the middle prelim section. Should be fun. Mess around, watch some fist fights.
All right, very good. For me, a couple of things I want to sort of let everyone know. I'm going to be watching and do a full main card watch along on my YouTube channel, plus a post-fight show. And then right after this MK, you can join me if you are on my Substack, and I'm going to do a Paddy the Baddy tape study, a live tape study. You can join me right after this show for that. That should be a lot of fun. And then catch me tomorrow on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Luke Thomas, for a full main card watch along and then a post-fight show. Long Island, what do you have going on?
I got Jose Youngs versus Gaethje Pierre airing in 15 minutes over on Main Card Minute YouTube. Prop quiz. Doing a full card watch along tomorrow. Even the early prelims. Come on, Jed. Wow. Step your game up. 5 p.m. start.
That's aggressive.
I'll see you guys then. And yeah, I guess that's it for me. Yeah.
There it is. Jed, thank you so much for joining me here. I really appreciate it. We'll get you in studio here very soon, and we'll do some drinking with our good friends at Cuervo, and it'll be a lot of fun. Yeah.
That sounds terrific. If eagle-eyed people can see over my shoulder, I got beef with Mendenhall, so we can settle it.
Very good. I look forward to seeing
that.
Not
fist fighting. I don't think I'd fare very well in that.
All right. Either way, I look forward to seeing it. One more reminder on our merch, morningcombat.shop. You can go get the posters are sold out, as we're told, but the Stranger Danger shirts are still available for the rest of this month. We are out of here today. Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, the fights are back. Congratulations. Let's have a good time. Watch Zuffa Boxing tonight, and then, of course, UFC 324, and we're going to react to all of it on Monday's MK. Thank you so much for watching it. For Jed, I'm Luke, and Long Island Luke as well. Until next time, may all of your gains be loyal.